Chapter 729. On the 22nd day of cultivation in the wind cave, the hill outside the wind cave suddenly caved in. The 2 miles of stone path outside the wind cave caved in. Many cracks appeared on the hill. The Earth Immortal Realm Warrior of the June family used his profound meaning of Earth to crack it open. Fortunately, Lu Li and the others were more than 10 miles inside the wind cave. The tunnel was winding underground. The collapse did not affect them at all. Blast the boulders away. Jun Mingchen had been cultivating for more than 20 days. He came as soon as he heard the news. He asked the 2 Earth Immortal Realm Warriors to blast the boulders away one by one to find the entrance. In this way, the feather wind would not be as strong as before. Boom, 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 streams of light flew out, and the shattered boulders flew away one by one, rolling away. A small hill was soon raised to the ground, and a cave entrance that meandered underground was revealed. There was still feather wind coming out from the entrance, but the space was spacious. The feather wind would disperse soon. The attack was not as strong. The entrance is surrounded by black boulders. They took a look and saw that the entrance was surrounded by black boulders with a radius of at least more than 30 feet. The black boulders were hard. Not even Earth Immortal Realm Warriors could destroy them at once. Keep going. Jun Mingchen said to the Jun family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior, Uncle 11, blast a hole nearby. If we can do that, we will be able to get to the bottom of the cave sooner or later. A bitter expression appeared on Uncle 11's face. Who knew how deep this hole was? Who knew how deep Lu Li and the others had gone? What if the cave was hundreds of miles deep? How long would it take? 1 year? 2 years? Boom, boom, they had wasted more than 20 days. The Jun family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior had to keep on blasting the ground. Wait, he swung his sword and shouted, we don't have to smash all the boulders. We just need to make the tunnel collapse bit by bit. This will make things easier. The Jun family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior took action. First, he blasted out a huge pit in the ground nearby. Then, he blasted out a tunnel along the side of the cave. In this way, it would be more efficient. He only needed to blast one side. As long as he could collapse the cave and clear away the boulders, he would be much faster. Boom, boom. Bit by bit, the cave began to collapse. Another Earth Immortal was responsible for using a divine ability to clear away the rubble, creating a large space in the passageway. In this way, the feather wind would disperse easily and the 2 would not be attacked by the feather wind. Very good, Uncle 11. Let's do it this way. When we get back, I'll report this to my grandfather, and he'll remember you for your service. Jun Mingchen and the others were currently sitting cross-legged outside the pit, cultivating. When he saw the pit collapsing bit by bit, joy could be seen in his eyes. He could almost see Lung Wushang and the others hiding in the cave, trembling in fear. Lung Wushang and the others weren't frightened. He, Lung Wuxin, and Lung Wumi were on the verge of collapsing. They all had powerful soul protection treasures, but the feather wind was too strong. It kept attacking their souls. It would be strange if a person didn't go crazy from enduring excruciating pain all day long. Lung Wumi hadn't woken up for a long time. She was so weak that she could barely breathe. She could die at any time. Lung Wuxin and Lung Wushang were faring better, but they couldn't hold on much longer. If Lu Li didn't do anything, their souls would collapse in 10 days or half a month at most. Lu Li didn't come out. He had been studying the soul seed in the cave. The cave was still buzzing. He didn't care about anything else. He was focused on studying the soul-snatching skill. Another 5 days passed. 2 miles of the cave entrance had been destroyed. The 2 Earth Immortal Realm Warriors were fast in destroying the tunnel. The 2 dug 2 tunnels along the stone path. Along the way, the stone path collapsed bit by bit, and then they would clear away the boulders. It was an efficient way. The other Earth Immortal Realm Warrior was fine. He began to dig more tunnels to divert the feather wind away. If the feather wind came to this tunnel, they would go to another tunnel to bombard the stone path. Lung Wuxin woke up again. She couldn't talk anymore. All she could do was gasp for air. Her pretty face was twisted. She was in so much pain that she was sweating. In her eyes, she had lost all hope. She couldn't even move a finger, let alone run away. Her mind was filled with questions. Where had Luli gone? Did he not care about her? Was he really not afraid of death? The Walking Dead poison was an ancient poison. Less than 3 people in the entire Earth Imperial universe could detoxify it. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Right at that moment, she heard some footsteps coming from the depths of the tunnel. A man in black walked out like a ghost. He stood in front of Lung Wuxin. He lit up the tunnel with Xian energy. Luli, Lung Wuxin blinked. She was overjoyed. She thought she was hallucinating. She moved her mouth and wagged her tongue. She only came back to her senses when she felt the sting on her tongue. She shouted angrily, "Luli, you bastard! Where have you been? You don't want the antidote anymore, do you?" Luli didn't pay attention to her. He glanced over to Lung Wumi and Lung Wushang. To his surprise, Lung Wumi was dead. There was no sign of life from her. Her soul must have collapsed because she could not stand the strong feather wind. Alas, Luli sighed, but he didn't feel sorry for her. For him, everyone in the Lung family was his enemy. He wouldn't feel guilty even if he killed them himself, let alone killed by the feather wind. Seeing that Luli didn't say anything, Lung Wuxin was angrier. She said while clenching her teeth, "Luli, do you think you have control over our lives? Fine, just kill me. You'll be buried with me anyway. Don't let me go out alive. I will make you wish you were dead." Before Lung Wuxin could finish her sentence, Luli had lifted his leg and kicked at her chest. The red quasi-relic armor on her emerged to protect her from the kick. Luli lifted his leg again. His Xian energy glistened. This time, he used the soul-shattering skill and stomped at her chest. 50 strands of energy were sent in. Many of Lung Wuxin's ribs were broken and her internal organs were torn. She spat out a mouthful of blood. Buzzing, Lung Wuxin released force field. The bloodline mark on her neck glowed. A lotus was about to come out. She was at the human sovereign realm. To her, Luli was no different from an ant. How could he treat her like this? How could she not be angry? She was ready to kill him, even at the cost of her life. Luli sneered. Before he released force field, he waved his hands quickly. His hands were moving in a regular pattern, like 2 catkins swaying in the wind. There seemed to be some mysterious marks of nature's rhythm in his hands. It was more like when the feather wind blew past, the branches and leaves on the island in the middle of the river were swaying in a regular pattern. As Luli waved his hands, something miraculous happened. The feather wind from all sides was stirred up. Like an invisible dragon, Lung Wuxin whooshed toward him. The horrifying soul attack invaded Lung Wuxin's soul. She couldn't stand it anymore and rolled around on the ground. She was about to release force field and bloodline skill, but she had to stop halfway. "You can control feather wind?" Lung Wushang came back to his senses. He looked at Luli in shock and disbelief. How could feather wind be controlled? Luli threw him a cold glance. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Lung Wushang came back to his senses and shouted, "Luli, what are you doing? I have Prince Stone with me. If you dare to kill me, my father and the patriarchs of our family will know right away." Luli snorted. Without saying anything, he waved his hands. The feather wind nearby was under his control. The feather wind surged toward Lung Wushang like an invisible dragon. He took out his divine weapon of Dragon King and hacked at Lung Wushang's head. P.S. Recommendation votes can increase your fan points and upgrade your account. Recommendation votes are available every day. They are free. You can vote for them every day after you finish reading them. Tomorrow, there will be a picture of Lung Wuxin posted on the official account. She looks like her. You can search for Night of the Wicked on the official account. Students who are new followers can check historical information, pictures, and information about the characters in the past. There are also statistics about the settings of the Eternal Realm and historical information. These will be updated in the future. Chapter 730. Taking control of a quasi-relic was hard. It was thanks to Lung Wuxin's advice that Luli's efficiency was improved. It took Luli 5 days. Boom, boom, boom. Once again, the path outside collapsed for thousands of feet. Luli could faintly see the light from the outside, even though they were sitting there with their legs crossed. Lung Wuxin was worried, But Luli didn't mind. He didn't move. The quasi-relic armor in his hand glowed, and the quasi-relic went into his body automatically. Buzzing, Luli used his mind. A white armor emerged over his body, covering him up except for his eyes. He moved around and realized that his movements were not restricted. He thought to himself that quasi-relic was a good thing. Do Lung Wushang, Lung Wushuang, and Lung Tianba have quasi-relic weapons? Luli didn't bother to go through the interspatial rings. He asked Lung Wuxin directly. She shook her head and said no. Given their abilities and status, they are not qualified to have quasi-relic weapons. Only when Wushang becomes the crown prince will he be given one by his family. Okay, Luli was not in the mood to take control of Lung Wushuang, Lung Tianba, and Lung Wushang's weapons. They were all holy grade Xian artifacts with similar powers. The divine weapon of Dragon King was quite handy. Lung Wuxin was much better after several days of rest. She thought about it and said, in Wushang's soul pond, there's a quasi-relic for soul protection. My father gave it to him when he reached the human sovereign realm. Oh, Luli smashed at Lung Wushang's head with one hand and cracked it open. A bead flew out. The bead was flowing and some mysterious runes were glistening. It was indeed a quasi-relic. Buzzing, Lung Wushang's body was smelly. Luli put his and Lung Wumi's bodies into his interspatial ring. He put away the bead as well. He didn't need the soul protection. He would leave it to Lu Ling and the others. Let's go and meet the Jun family, Luli said to Lung Wuxin coldly and walked out. Lung Wuxin followed Luli closely because Featherwind wouldn't be attacked when she was with Luli. There was no Featherwind in an area with a radius of several feet around Luli. He was getting better at controlling Featherwind. Boom, boom, boom. The two Earth Immortal Realm warriors were still attacking the tunnel, while Jun Mingqian was cultivating about 1,000 feet behind them. The two Earth Immortal Realm warriors were having a good time. The cave had collapsed for several miles. They planned to go all the way to the bottom of the cave. While killing Lu Li and the others, they could also see if there were any treasures. Lu Li and Lung Wuxin walked out of the cave with light steps. They stopped when they were about 1,000 feet away from the two Earth Immortal Realm warriors. It was dark in the cave and psychic power could not be used. Therefore, the Earth Immortal Realm warriors outside could not see them. This should be enough. Lu Li's eyes flickered. He waved his hands to gather the feather wind around. Lung Wuxin sensed that the feather wind was getting stronger. She hid behind Lu Li in fright. If she were to be attacked by such horrifying feather wind, her soul would crumble before she could recover from the injury. Go, Lu Li shouted. The feather wind formed into 5 invisible dragons and whooshed out. Since the feather wind was so thick, the noise was loud and ear-piercing. What? Uncle 11 of the Jun family was alarmed. He looked in with suspicion and murmured, "What is that noise?" The other Earth Immortal Realm warrior came back to his senses. He turned around and shouted, "Mingqian, leave now." Jun Mingqian and the others were cultivating. They all opened their eyes when they heard the Jun family Earth Immortal Realm warriors shout. Jun Mingqian asked, "What is it?" "Uncle 9. The Jun family Earth Immortal Realm warrior was about to explain when the 5 dragons of wind whooshed out and dashed toward Uncle 11 and Uncle 9. The dragons were fast. The strange noise from the feather wind was so harsh that it hurt their eardrums. Feather wind? Retreat. Uncle 11's eyes were wide open. He wanted to step back in fear. However, the feather wind was fast, even faster than them. The feather wind swept over and enveloped them. The two Earth Immortal Realm warriors hugged their heads and rolled on the ground. What happened next terrified them. The 5 dragons of wind didn't whooshing out. Instead, they were hovering around them and attacking their souls with horrifying soul attacks. The attack of the feather wind was much more powerful than the one in the area where Lung Wushuang and Lung Buji were. How could the two Earth Immortal Realm warriors withstand it? Soon, the two were rolling on the ground with their heads in their hands. They screamed and were about to pass out. Uncle 9, Uncle 11. Jun Mingqian and the other 3 turned pale. They wanted to save the two, but they didn't have the courage to go closer. They couldn't leave either. All they could do was to shout anxiously. A young lady of the June family was scared. She pulled Zhu Mingqian's sleeve and said, "Brother Mingqian, let's get out of here. It's too dangerous here." The other two young masters nodded in agreement. Even the Earth Immortal Realm warriors couldn't withstand the feather wind. They would die for sure if the feather wind came. Zhu Mingqian made up his mind and waved his hand. "Leave now. I will stay here and see if I can save Uncle 11 and Uncle 9. Zhu Mingqian didn't want to leave, but the other three couldn't. Strangely enough, the feather wind didn't blow over. The feather wind had been hovering around the two Earth Immortal Realm warriors. They were safe for now. The two Earth Immortal Realm warriors cried and rolled on the ground for a while. Uncle 11 was the first one to pass out. The other one rolled on the ground for a while before he passed out and stopped moving. Luli looked on indifferently. He didn't go out at once. After the time for a dozen breaths and making sure that the two Earth Immortal Realm warriors were not moving, Luli strode out and stood at the entrance of the destroyed cave. "Young masters and young ladies of the June family, hello," Luli said with a smile. Due to the dim light, Zhu Mingqian and the others could not see clearly. They could only make out two blurry figures. "Someone is here," Zhu Mingqian screamed. This time around, he didn't hesitate at all. He immediately dashed out. But what Luli said next stopped him. "You are Zhu Mingqian, right? If the two Earth Immortal Realm warriors of your family die, do you think you can survive outside? The June family has no enemies outside, but if you run into Earth Immortal Realm warriors, you will still die." Swish, 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 Zhu Mingqian and the others were taken aback. Luli was right. The June family had many enemies. Without the protection of Earth Immortal Realm warriors, the June family would still be doomed. Zhu Mingqian sensed that Luli's voice was unfamiliar. He had a wild hope. "Who are you? How can I let my Uncle 9 and Uncle 11 go? Name your terms." "Smart." Luli grinned. He waved his hands. For the 5 dragons of wind surrounding the two Earth Immortal Realm warriors came out and dashed toward Zhu Mingqian and the others. Luli laughed and said, "My terms are simple. You will all become my soul slaves." The 4 dragons of wind whooshed on faster than the two Earth Immortal Realm warriors. They covered the distance of 1 mile in a blink. By the time Zhu Mingqian and the others tried to run, it was already too late. As soon as the dragons of wind passed by, the 4 Earth Immortal Realm warriors hugged their heads and rolled around. Soon they passed out. Standing next to the 2 fainted June family Earth Immortal Realm warriors, Luli looked back at Lung Wuxin with a smile and said, "Lung Wuxin, what if I turn all the disciples of the major families in the forbidden ground of Elder God into my soul slaves? Then I can threaten the other families to join forces to attack the Lung family. When the Lung family is destroyed, will I have a way out?" Lung Wuxin trembled. She looked at Luli in terror and said in a trembling voice, "Luli, you are a devil. P.S. Those who vote for me every day are good students." Chapter 731. Feather Wind was already horrifying. The density of the feather wind controlled by Lu Li was many times higher. Lung Wushang wanted to launch a desperate attack, but he couldn't move at all. Lu Li's divine weapon of Dragon King whooshed over and landed on Lung Wushang's head. Lung Wushang was wearing a quasi-relic armor. However, it didn't affect the soul-shattering secret skill much. 50 vibration waves of strength and 30 vibration waves of soul power spread into Lung Wushang's soul pond. "No, you can't kill me," Lung Wushang roared hysterically. He sensed a fatal danger from the deepest part of his soul. It was the instinctive warning of a powerful cultivator. Luli was only at the Noble Lord realm, but he had many miraculous skills. Lung Wushang didn't doubt that Luli had the ability to kill him, since he could even control feather wind. Boom, 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 waves and waves of energy kept striking at Lung Wushang's soul pond. Lung Wushang had grown up with precious materials, so his soul pond was very strong. However, his soul pond was much weaker than that of an Earth Immortal Realm warrior. His soul pond was shattered by the 50 vibration waves. 30 waves of soul vibration waves surged over. As a matter of fact, The soul vibration wave attack was unnecessary because the soul attack of the feather wind had already destroyed Lung Wushang's soul. The moment Lung Wushang's soul was destroyed, the white jade talisman on his belt suddenly exploded. Xianqi in heaven and earth gathered toward him from all directions. An image appeared on the stone path. It was an elegant study, and a golden-robed middle-aged man was sitting there like a tiger or a dragon. The golden-robed middle-aged man was Lung Tianhen. He suddenly raised his head and made eye contact with Lu Li through the image in the air. Buzz! Killing intent spread out from Lung Tianhen's eyes. It was as if a dragon had opened its eyes. Lung Tianhen glanced at Lung Wushang on the ground and bellowed, "Lu Li, you actually dare to kill my son, Wushang? This time, even if the Blood Emperor comes personally, this emperor will kill you and turn your bones into dust." The voice came from the image. It was incomparably real, and the voice was still echoing in the stone path. Even though that man was just a shadow, the murderous intent was so real that Lu Li felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. Lu Li did not know Lung Tianhen. When Lu Li was at the Lu family, Lung Tianhen never came out to meet him. However, Lu Li could figure out something from his words. The image slowly dissipated in midair. Lu Li's eyes flickered and he murmured, "Print stone? Could this be an impression stone?" "Yes, this is the print stone. My father already knows that you killed Lung Wushang." Lung Wuxin was curled up on the ground, hugging her head. Her mouth and face were covered in blood. She was so weak that she thought she could die at any moment. She bit her teeth and said, "Lu Li, when 1 year is up, you will be teleported out automatically. At that time, the experts of the Lung clan will surround and kill you, and no one will be able to save you. If you let me go, I'll help you think of a way to escape back to the Inferno prison." Just now, Lung Wuxin was attacked by Lu Li with Featherwind. She felt her soul could collapse at any moment, but she couldn't worry about anything else. All she wanted was to survive. She knew that if she didn't do something, she would be the next to die. There is such a treasure as Prince Stone. Lu Li was troubled. When 1 year was up, he would be teleported to the north of the city of Lung in the Central Imperial Universe. There were 3 Earth Immortal Realm warriors in that palace. Now that Lung Tianhen knew about it, there would be more Immortal Realm warriors in the palace. Lu Li wouldn't be able to escape death, even if he were an immortal. He thought that he could kill Lung Wushang without anyone knowing. He didn't know that Lung Wushang had such a miraculous treasure. After Lung Wushang's death, Lung Tianhen could see the scene before his death and could tell who the enemy was. The Prince Stone must be a piece of treasure that could be used to avenge the death of an important disciple. Let's not worry about that for now. I need to control Lung Wuxin first. Lu Li shook his head and put the matter of Lung Tianhen aside. He put the quasi-relic armor that fell off from Lung Wushang into his interspatial ring and then walked over to Lung Wuxin. He held the divine weapon of Dragon King in one hand and was ready to attack with Feather Wind with the other. He approached Lung Wuxin slowly. Looking at her face covered in blood, Lu Li said, "Do you want to live? Listen to me and don't move, or I will kill you right away." Lu Li's soul pond began to operate. His eyes glowed. 2 rays of white light shot out from his eyes and surged into between Lung Wuxin's eyebrows like 2 white snakes. "What is that?" Lung Wuxin was taken aback. She had a bad feeling. A bead in her soul glowed as she was about to create a shield to protect her soul. "Deactivate the shield, or I will kill you right away." Lu Li raised his divine weapon of Dragon King and locked onto Lung Wuxin with murderous intent. He raised his saber high and hacked at Lung Wuxin's head. Lung Wuxin saw that the saber was getting closer and closer to her. She made up her mind and controlled the shield to deactivate it. The 2 rays of energy from Lu Li surged into Lung Wuxin's soul pond like vipers and then dissipated. They dispersed into strands of invisible energy and entered every corner of Lung Wuxin's soul pond. "What is that?" Lung Wuxin's eyes were filled with terror. She could feel that something strange had entered her soul. She could not tell where those things had gone to or what dangers they posed. That being said, She felt there were many insects crawling into her clothes. She trembled and her hair stood on end. Don't worry, you will find out soon. Luli waved his hands and stepped back slowly. He controlled the feather wind to blow to the sides quietly and stopped attacking Lung Wuxin. He sat with his legs crossed 300 feet away, grinned, and said, "All right, Lady Wuxin, there is no feather wind attacking you now. You can take care of yourself." The soul seed had been planted, and it would take root and sprout soon. Lung Wuxin could not destroy the soul seed yet. Therefore, Lung Wuxin would become his soul slave soon. Naturally, he didn't want her to die. That was why he controlled the feather wind to not attack her. That was right. Luli could control feather wind. This was a skill he learned by accident when he was in closed-door cultivation not long ago. As a matter of fact, he didn't know how to use it. He just happened to find it in the cave. He learned a profound meaning related to wind from the marks on the branches and leaves of the island in the river center. At first, he had thought that the profound meaning was of a low level and could only borrow the force of wind. In the cave, he suddenly remembered something. Wasn't feather wind just wind? It was a special kind of wind. But what if he could control it? As it turned out, he released the profound meaning casually and found that it could really control feather wind. Only then did he realize that this profound meaning was not as simple as it seemed. An average force of wind would not be able to control feather wind. Otherwise, more than half of the warriors in the forbidden ground of Elder God would be able to do so. For those Earth Immortal Realm warriors, it was easy for them to learn a profound meaning related to wind. That being said, all the Earth Immortal Realm warriors were terrified of feather wind. Therefore, Luli could tell that the profound meaning related to wind he learned was not as simple as it seemed. Feather wind was powerful, and the soul attack contained in it was horrifying. Luli was invincible, at least in the cave, since he could control feather wind. Chapter 732. Luli was surrounded by feather wind. He was 300 feet away from Lung Wuxin. He was not afraid, even if Lung Wuxin wanted to kill him. He sat with his legs crossed and tried to sense Lung Wuxin's soul through the spiritual connection with the soul seed. The feather wind around Lung Wuxin stopped. She collapsed on the ground, gasping for air as if she had been weakened. She reached out one hand, took out several top-level soul-nurturing pellets, and swallowed them. Then, she sat up and began to cultivate. Tens of thousands of strands of energy from the soul seed began to absorb the soul energy in Lung Wuxin's soul pond, growing stronger and merging with her soul at the same time. Once the integration was complete, not even an immortal could save Lung Wuxin unless Luli took back the soul seed. Lung Wuxin didn't sense any danger. She only felt something strange had entered her soul, but she didn't know what it was. The soul seed was divided into strands of energy that not even psychic power could detect. It was the same as the soul energy in Lung Wuxin's soul pond. That was the horror of the soul-snatching skill. Lung Wuxin sat down and rested for a while. Then, she began to use psychic power to check her soul pond. She had a feeling that there were many bugs crawling into her soul pond, and they were gnawing at her soul pond silently. Soon, she realized something. She sensed that her soul pond was filled with a kind of soul energy that she couldn't control. The strange energy was merging with the soul energy in her soul pond and growing. It seemed to be taking over her entire soul. What the hell is this? She trembled in fear. She tried to use soul energy to drive away the strange energy. However, the energy was wandering around her soul pond like vipers. There were too many of them to count. What could she do? Could she explode her soul pond? Oh no, Lung Wuxin was frightened. She had an inkling of what was going on. Soon, the strange energy would take over her soul and dominate it. In other words, Luli could control her soul at any time. She could even walk out naked, and she wouldn't be able to resist. Die. Lung Wuxin had two choices. She could either die by exploding her soul pond, or become Lu Li's slave and be controlled by him for the rest of her life. Lung Wuxin was struggling inside. A girl's heart was always indecisive. She did not dare to make up her mind to die at the critical moment. She thought that Luli would be killed when he got out. Once Luli died, the Lung family might try to save her. Therefore, she could not make up her mind. While she was hesitating, the soul seed in her soul pond had sprouted. It occupied most of her soul pond and controlled her soul. At that moment, she felt a spiritual connection with Luli. Very good. Luli grinned. He realized that he had established a spiritual connection with Lung Wuxin. He could control her soul now. He ordered her mentally, "Untie your dress." Lung Wuxin's blood-covered face was filled with shame, yet she was unable to control her soul. Her hands reached toward the buttons on her blouse. One by one, the buttons were undone, revealing her white collarbone. All right, Luli didn't intend to violate her. He just wanted to see if he could control her. He grinned and ordered in his mind, "All right, let's heal first." Luli controlled the feather wind so that Lung Wuxin's soul wouldn't be affected. That being said, her soul was seriously wounded. It would take some time for her to recover. She sat down to meditate to heal herself. Luli sat with his legs crossed and began to think about what to do next. There was still more than half a year to go. In half a year, he would be teleported to the castle in the mountain to the north of the city of Lung. By then, powerful warriors of the Lung family would be gathered here. He would not be able to escape. Even if Lung Wuxin's life was in his hands, the Lung family wouldn't have any scruples. In a big family, a girl was a commodity. Lung Wuxian was the future crown prince. How could the Lung family compromise for Lung Wuxin? What should I do? Luli thought about it and realized that this was another obstacle that he could not overcome. He seemed to be in a hopeless situation again. He had been thinking for an entire day without finding a way out. No matter what the plan was, the powerful warriors of the Lung family had absolute power. Not even the Blood Emperor could defeat them. Luli was troubled. If he had known, he wouldn't have killed Lung Wuxian. He should have just left him in the wind cave to fend for himself. What was done was done. There was no point in regretting. Luli checked Lung Wuxin's soul and noticed that her wounds had recovered a bit. He woke her up and asked, "Lung Wuxin, what is the Prince Stone about?" Lung Wuxin opened her eyes. She shook her head with a bitter smile and said, "That is a piece of treasure. Only those with a high status in a super family can have it. Father already knows that you have killed Wuxian. There is no turning back. Once you go out, you will die for sure." Luli frowned and asked, "There's no other way? We can't teleport to other places. When the time is up, we must be teleported to the Central Imperial Universe." "Yes," Lung Wuxin answered with a straight face. "We will be teleported to where we came from. This cannot be changed." "Then can we not be teleported out?" Luli thought of a possibility. Lung Wuxin shook her head and said, "Of course not. This is an automatic teleportation in the forbidden ground of Elder God, unless you can change the inhibition formation in the forbidden ground. Think of a way," Luli said with hatred. "If I can't think of a way, I will kill you before we are teleported out." Lung Wuxin didn't dare to talk back. All she could do was remain silent. What else could she do? In a mountain to the north of the city of Lung, there must be at least 10 Earth immortal realm warriors of the Lung family. Not even the Blood Emperor could save Luli. Blood Emperor? Thinking of him, Lung Wuxin had an idea. She said, "Luli, don't you have the token of the Blood Emperor? Try to crush the Blood Emperor token and see if you can contact the Blood Emperor. If the Blood Emperor is willing to save you, perhaps you might have a chance of survival." Luli didn't take out the token of the Blood Emperor impulsively. He thought about it and decided to figure out a way first. If there was really no other way in the last month, he could only try to crush the Blood Emperor token, changing the restrictions in the forbidden ground of Elder God. Luli thought of this possibility. If he could change the inhibition formations, he might be able to teleport to another universe and then escape to the purgatory of primordial chaos. Apart from Lung Wuxin, nobody knew that he was from the Heaven Reverse universe under the Inferno. As long as the Lung family could return to the Heaven Reverse universe, it was not as if the Lung family could go to the Heaven Reverse universe. They could just destroy the passage connecting the deserted world and the Inferno. How can I change the inhibition formations in the forbidden ground of Elder God? This seemed to be more difficult than escaping from the attack of the Lung family. The entire forbidden ground of Elder God was created by Emperor Hung. How can an inhibition formation built by an immortal be changed so easily? Unless he could find the core that controlled the forbidden ground of Elder God. Boom, boom, boom. The noise from the entrance of the cave startled Lu Li from his thoughts. He had been woken up many times before, but he didn't pay much attention to it. At the moment, he sensed that the people digging at the entrance of the cave were getting closer. They were less than 2 miles away from here. Killing intent rose in Lu Li's eyes. He could control Featherwind, so he was not afraid of the 2 Earth Immortal Realm warriors. The fact that the June family was pursuing them relentlessly and vowed to kill them had infuriated Lu Li. Buzzing. Chapter 733. Taking control of a quasi-relic was not easy. It was thanks to Lung Wuxin's guidance that Lu Li's efficiency was improved. It took Lu Li 5 days. Boom, boom, boom. Once again, the path outside collapsed for thousands of feet. Lu Li and Lu Li could faintly see the light from the outside, even though they were sitting there with their legs crossed. Lung Wuxin was worried, but Lu Li didn't mind. He didn't move. The quasi-relic armor in his hand glowed, and the quasi-relic went into his body automatically. Buzzing. Lu Li used his mind, and a white armor automatically appeared around him, covering his entire body except for his eyes. He moved around and realized that his movements were not restricted. He thought to himself that quasi-relic was good stuff. Do Lung Wushang, Lung Wushuang, and Lung Tianba have quasi-relic weapons? Lu Li didn't bother to check the interspatial rings. He asked Lung Wuxin directly. She shook her head and said no. Given their abilities and status, they are not qualified to have quasi-relic weapons. Only when Wushang becomes the crown prince will he be given one by his family. Okay. Lu Li was not in the mood to take control of Lung Wushuang, Lung Tianba, and Lung Wushang's weapons. They were all holy grade Xian artifacts with similar powers. The divine weapon of Dragon King was quite handy. After resting for a few days, Lung Wuxin's spirit, qi, and spirit seemed to be much better. She thought for a moment and said, "There is a quasi-relic soul defense treasure in Wushang's soul pond. My father gave it to him when he broke through to the human sovereign realm." Oh! Lu Li smashed at Lung Wushang's head and cracked it open. A bead flew out. The bead was flowing and some mysterious runes were glowing. It was indeed a quasi-relic. Buzzing. Lung Wushang's body was smelly. Lu Li put his and Lung Wumi's bodies into his interspatial ring. He put away the bead as well. He didn't need the soul protection treasure. He would leave it for Lu Ling and the others. Let's go and meet the June family. Lu Li said to Lung Wuxin coldly and walked out. Lung Wuxin followed him closely because Featherwind wouldn't be attacked when she was with Lu Li. There was no Featherwind within a radius of several feet around Lu Li. He was getting better at controlling it. Boom, 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 outside. The 2 earthen immortals were still attacking the stone passageway, while Jun Mingchen sat down cross-legged, cultivating himself 1,000 meters behind them. The 2 Earth Immortal Realm warriors were having a great time. The cave had collapsed for several miles. They planned to go all the way to the bottom of the cave. While killing Lu Li and the others, they could also see if there were any treasures. Lu Li and Lung Wuxin walked out of the cave with light steps. They stopped when they were 1,000 feet away from the 2 Earth Immortal Realm warriors. Due to the pitch-black darkness in the stone cave and the inability to use divine telekinesis, the Earth Immortals outside were unable to detect the 2 of them. It's about time. Lu Li's eyes flickered. He waved his hands to gather the feather wind around. Sensing that the feather wind was getting stronger, Lung Wuxin hid behind Lu Li in fright. If she was attacked by such a horrifying feather wind, her soul would collapse before it could recover. Go, Lu Li shouted. The feather wind formed into 5 invisible dragons and whooshed out. Since the feather wind was so thick, the noise was loud and ear-piercing. What? Uncle 11 of the June family was alarmed. He looked in with suspicion and murmured, "What is that noise?" The other Earth, immortal realm warrior, came back to his senses. He turned around and shouted, "Ming-Chen, leave now." June Ming-Chen and the others were cultivating. Hearing the June family Earth, immortal realm warrior shout, they all opened their eyes. June Ming-Chen asked with confusion, "What is it, Uncle Nine?" The June family Earth, immortal realm warrior, was about to explain when the 5 dragons of wind whooshed out and dashed toward Uncle 11 and Uncle 9. The dragons were fast. The strange noise from the feather wind was so harsh that it hurt their eardrums. Feather wind? Retreat. Uncle 11's eyes were wide open. He wanted to step back in fear. However, the feather wind was so fast, even faster than them. The feather wind swept over and enveloped them. The 2 Earth immortal realm warriors rolled on the ground with their heads in their hands. What happened next terrified them. The 5 dragons of feather wind didn't whooshing out. Instead, they hovered around the 2 Earth immortal realm warriors and kept attacking their souls with horrible soul attacks. The power of the feather wind was much stronger than the area where Lung Wushuang and Lung Buji were. How could the 2 Earth immortal realm warriors withstand it? Soon, the 2 Earth immortal realm warriors were rolling on the ground with their heads in their hands. They screamed and were about to pass out. Uncle 9, Uncle 11, June Ming-Chen, and the other 3 Earth immortal realm warriors turned pale. They wanted to save the 2 Earth immortal realm warriors, but they didn't have the courage to go closer. They couldn't leave either. All they could do was shout anxiously. A young lady of the June family was scared. She pulled June Ming-Chen's sleeve and said, "Brother Ming-Chen, let's leave. It's too dangerous here." The other 2 young masters nodded in agreement. Even the Earth immortal realm warriors couldn't withstand the feather wind. If the feather wind came, they would die for sure. June Ming-Chen made up his mind and waved his hand. "Leave now. I will see if I can save Uncle 11 and Uncle 9. If June Ming-Chen didn't leave, the other 3 Earth immortal realm warriors wouldn't be able to leave. What was more, the feather wind didn't blow over. The feather wind had been hovering around the 2 Earth immortal realm warriors. They were safe for now. The 2 Earth immortal realm warriors cried and rolled on the ground for a while. Uncle 11 was the first one to pass out. The other one rolled on the ground and passed out. Luli looked on indifferently. He didn't go out at once. After the time, for a dozen breaths, and making sure that the 2 Earth immortal realm warriors were not moving, Luli strode out and stood at the entrance of the destroyed cave. "Young masters and young ladies of the June family, hello," Luli said with a smile. It was too dark for June Ming-Chen and the others to see clearly. They could only make out 2 blurry figures. "Someone is here," June Ming-Chen yelled. This time, he didn't hesitate. He was about to rush out. But what Luli said next stopped him. "You were June Ming-Chen, right? If the 2 Earth immortal realm warriors of your family die, do you think you could survive outside? The June family has no enemies outside. But if you run into Earth immortal realm warriors, you will still die." Swish, 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 June Ming-Chen and the others were taken aback. Luli was right. The June family had many enemies. Without the protection of Earth immortal realm warriors, the June family would still be doomed. June Ming-Chen sensed that Lu Li's voice was unfamiliar. He had a wild hope. He asked, "Who are you? How can I let my Uncle 9 and Uncle 11 go? Name your terms." "Smart." Luli grinned. He waved his hands. For of the 5 dragons of wind around the 2 Earth immortal realm warriors dashed toward June Ming-Chen and the others. Luli laughed and said, "My terms are simple. You will all become my soul slaves." The 4 dragons of wind whooshed on faster than the 2 Earth immortal realm warriors. They covered the distance of 1 mile in a blink. It was too late for June Ming-Chen and the others to run. As soon as the dragons of wind passed by, the 4 Earth immortal realm warriors rolled on the ground with their heads in their hands and passed out. Standing next to the 2 fainted June family Earth immortal realm warriors, Luli looked back at Lung Wuxin with a smile and said, "Lung Wuxin, what if I turn all the disciples of the major families in the forbidden ground of Elder God into my soul slaves? Then I can threaten the other families to attack the Lung family. When the Lung family is destroyed, does that mean I can survive? Lung Wuxin trembled. She stared at Lu Li in fear. She said in a trembling voice, Lu Li, you are a demon. P.S. Those who vote for me every day are good students. Chapter 734. For Lu Li, the destruction of the Lung family had nothing to do with him. Even if the Central Imperial Universe were to be attacked by other universes, he would just enjoy the show. He was from the Heaven Reverse universe. It was none of his business whether the other universes were fighting to the death. All he cared about was his own life. In order to survive, he would do anything. Lung Wuxin's slap had woken him up. He was now fully aware that he was dancing on the tip of a knife. If he was not careful, he would be smashed into pieces. Therefore, he must put away his mercy and be as cruel and merciless as Lu Ling. As long as he could survive, he could use any method and kill anyone. However, this was just Lu Li's initial idea. It wasn't guaranteed to work. After all, the Lung family was a great family with millions of years of history. It was impossible for the other families to recklessly declare war on the Lung family just because of a single disciple. The crux of the matter now was how many disciples from the various families he could take down. If they could take down more than a dozen disciples from the big clans, they might have the guts to start a war with the Lung family when they united, and they would take the opportunity to rob the Lung family. The benefits of robbing a super large family were astonishing. Presumably, many large families would be willing to do it. All of a sudden, Lung Wuxin burst into laughter as if she had figured something out. She said, Lu Li, your plan is crazy, but it is hard to carry it out. Lu Li looked at him and asked, Why? Tell me about it. Lung Wuxin explained, First of all, it's impossible for the clans to start a war over a single disciple. Secondly, the only way to invade the Central Imperial Universe was through the purgatory of primordial chaos. The purgatory of primal chaos is at the center of the world. Every realm is connected to the purgatory of primal chaos. Apart from that, there are no other passageways. Once the passageway to the purgatory of primordial chaos is closed, no family will be able to enter the Central Imperial Universe. Thirdly, the Lung family had a secret escape route that could transfer all the disciples in a short period of time. Besides, even if the families conquered the city of Lung, would you be safe? What if they're all waiting for you outside? Won't you still die if you go out? Lung Wuxin had long been disheartened by the Lung family. But she was born in the Lung family after all. As a daughter of the Lung family, she didn't want her family to be destroyed. Lu Li thought about it and agreed with Lung Wuxin. But he still had to do it. This was the only way he could survive. He paid no more attention to Lung Wuxin. For beams of white light flashed between his eyebrows and shot toward the two Earth Immortal Realm warriors of the Jun family. Earth Immortal Realm soul slaves were a great help. With two Earth Immortal Realm soul slaves, Lu Li would be much safer in the forbidden ground of Elder God. The two Earth Immortal Realm warriors had passed out. At the moment, Lu Li controlled 3 more dragons of wind to attack the two Earth Immortal Realm warriors' souls to prevent them from killing. Release your bloodline, divine skill. Lu Li didn't think it was safe. He asked Lung Wuxin to release a lotus, and the two of them were wrapped up. Lu Li immersed himself in the soul seed and began to probe the souls of the two Earth Immortal Realm warriors. Last time, Lu Li made more than a dozen soul seeds. He sent 2 soul seeds into the two Earth Immortal Realm warriors' souls. The two Earth Immortal Realm warriors passed out. However, there are defensive treasures outside their soul ponds that prevented the soul seeds from entering. Open the lotus flower and wrap it up immediately. Lu Li took out his divine weapon of Dragon King and smashed at the head of an Earth Immortal Realm warrior of the Jun family the moment the lotus bloomed. When he put away the divine weapon of Dragon King, Lung Wuxin closed the lotus flower at once. Lu Li didn't attack the soul pond of the Jun family Earth Immortal Realm warrior. Instead, he used the vibration waves to attack the bead above the soul pond. Boom! 50 stacks of strength shock waves radiated in, and the bead was easily shattered. 2 soul seeds went into the soul pond of the June family Earth, immortal realm warrior, like vipers. As soon as the 2 soul seeds entered the soul pond, they spread out like dragons diving into the sea. The soul seeds began to sprout and devour the soul energy of the June family Earth, immortal realm warrior. It's done. Luli was relieved to find out what was going on inside the soul pond of the June family Earth, immortal realm warrior, through the spiritual connection with the soul seeds. The June family Earth, immortal realm warrior's soul was in a mess. The soul seeds were devouring fast. In the time for half an incense stick to burn, the Earth Immortal Realm Warrior would be taken down. Luli didn't rush to attack the second Earth Immortal Realm Warrior. Safety came first. There was no need to rush. Earth Immortal Realm Warriors were too powerful. One careless move, and he would be doomed eternally. After the time for half an incense stick to burn, Luli established a spiritual connection with the June family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior. He was cheered up. He winked at Lung Wuxin, who opened the petals. Luli hacked at the head of the second Earth, Immortal Realm Warrior, with his divine weapon of Dragon King. Boom! The soul protection bead inside the soul pond exploded, and the soul seeds invaded. However, right at that moment, the Earth Immortal Realm Warrior woke up. His eyes were filled with surprise. Clearly, he had sensed that the soul seeds had entered his soul pond. Featherwind. Luli controlled several dragons of feather wind to whooshing over. The Earth Immortal Realm Warrior didn't have enough time to do anything. His soul was badly injured, and he passed out again. Phew, Luli was relieved. The rest of the matter would fall into place. In the time for half an incense stick to burn, the last Earth Immortal Realm Warrior was taken down. Luli didn't take any rash actions. He flew the feather wind away from the 2 Earth Immortal Realm Warriors and woke them up through spiritual connection. Go and kill the young master next to Jun Mengchen. Luli ordered one of the Earth Immortal Realm Warriors. That Earth Immortal Realm Warrior seemed to be in pain. Without any hesitation, he flew forward, took out a saber, and hacked at the head of a young master of the Jun family. Boom! A young master of the Jun family was smashed to death. A quasi-relic armor fell off. The young master of the Jun family couldn't be more dead. Seeing how careful Luli was, Lung Wuxin sighed and said, Luli, this skill of yours is very powerful. As soon as you give the order, we will lose control of our bodies and become your puppets. I will become your puppet. So, you're thinking too much. Caution is the parent of safety. Luli grinned. He told Lung Wuxin to fly the lotus forward. The lotus was huge. They couldn't fly in the cave. But the tunnel dug out by the Jun family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior was large enough for them to fly. They flew to Jun Mengchen and the others. Once again, Luli released the soul seed and used the same trick to subdue the other 3. Okay. An hour later, Luli smiled. He waved his hand and said, Bring Jun Mengchen and the others out. Let them heal. One of you stay outside, and the other one come with me to the bottom of the cave. The bottom of the cave? Lung Wuxin's eyes glowed with greed. The cave was so terrifying. There might be treasures at the bottom. Just because they were soul slaves didn't mean that they didn't have their own thoughts. It was just that Luli could control their souls at any time. When Luli was not controlling their souls, they were still themselves. It was just that they didn't want to kill Luli. In their souls were Luli's soul seed. Once they wanted to kill their master, the soul seed would take control of their souls and protect Luli. It was similar to Lu Ling's phoenix slaves. Yin Zhen and Hu Lang all had their own thoughts. They just could not disobey Lu Ling's orders. What is at the bottom of the cave? Chapter 735. Uncle Nine of the Jun family left with Jun Mengchen and the others. Naturally, Luli took the quasi-relic armor from the young master of the Jun family. Luli didn't feel too happy about another set of quasi-relic armor. If he could not survive this time, he wouldn't be able to get dozens of quasi-relic armor. In the end, he would only benefit the Lung family. Uncle 11 of the Jun family was allowed to tend to his wounds and Lu Li told Lung Wuxin to do the same. 2 hours later, Lu Li took the lead and walked into the cave. The Jun family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior and Lung Wuxin followed him. Without Lu Li, they wouldn't be able to survive the attack of Feather Wind. Lu Li walked in front of them at ease. He waved his hands, and the Feather Wind parted to the sides. The Feather Wind wouldn't come close to them. This way it was easier. Soon, they were close to the bodies of Lung Wushuang and Lung Tianba. Lung Wuxin sighed when she saw their corpses, but she did not say anything. The winner was the king, and the loser was the bandit. This was the reality. Lu Li was more skillful. She couldn't even commit suicide now that she had become Lu Li's sole slave. It was pointless to say too much. Right? Lu Li remembered something. He turned around and asked Lung Wuxin, "You really don't have the antidote for the Walking Dead poison?" Lung Wuxin nodded and said, "Yes, I don't. I need to make it again. But I have all kinds of mystical materials. I think I can make it in half a year." Half a year? Lu Li raised his eyebrows. He was not in a hurry. Lung Wuxin gave him 9 antidotes. Including the one she gave him before, he could live for 5 years. Finding the antidote was not urgent. The most important thing was that they would be teleported out in half a year. If they could not survive this, they would still die in half a year, even if the antidote was cured now. Lu Li moved on in silence. He waved his hands, controlling the feather wind to blow to the sides. The feather wind here was horrifying. If he didn't control it, he wouldn't be able to survive it. The cave was deep. They walked for another 2 miles, but they still hadn't reached the bottom. The stone path kept winding down. They should be 2 miles underground now. Lu Li was getting more and more excited. The deeper they went, the more dangerous it was. The feather wind here was horrifying. Danger was often proportional to benefits. There must be some valuable treasures down there. Door. The Jun family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior shouted in surprise. Lu Li and Lung Wuxin looked over. They could faintly see a door glowing. Go! Lu Li was getting more and more excited. He sped up, and soon, he arrived at a gate. There were 2 air vents next to the gate where the feather wind came from. Lung Wuxin and the Jun family's Earth Immortal Realm Warriors' eyes lit up. How could there be a gate at the bottom of the cave? This meant that there was an underground palace inside. In the forbidden land of Elder God, there was an underground palace thousands of feet below the ground. What did this mean? This meant that it was very likely that Emperor Heng's body was placed in the main hall. This meant that Emperor Heng's most important treasure, the divine weapon and divine armor, were all inside. This meant that the control center of the forbidden ground of ancient God might be here. Of course, Lu Li was excited, but he was calm. He glanced at the door to see if there was any danger. Victory and greed easily clouded one's mind. How could Emperor Heng's treasure be so easily obtained? Think from another perspective. If Lu Li were Emperor Heng, he would not allow his relic weapon and armor to be taken away so easily. If he wasn't exceptionally talented, didn't have outstanding intelligence, and didn't have a good temperament, he wouldn't have left it for him. Otherwise, Emperor Heng's reputation would be tarnished, and it would indirectly prove that Emperor Heng was an idiot. How could a man that could become an immortal be an idiot? Therefore, just because they were here didn't mean that they were absolutely safe or that they could obtain the treasure. Lu Li was very clear about this. Lu Li observed for a while and asked the Jun family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior and Lung Wuxin to check carefully. Making sure that there was no danger, Lu Li said to the Jun family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior, "Go and open the door." The Jun family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior was worried. What if he was killed by the inhibition formation? But he dared not to disobey Lu Li's order. He carried a heavy sword, put on his quasi-relic armor, and walked toward the door in trepidation. The bloodline mark on his neck glowed. The door was pitch black with mysterious patterns of beasts carved on it. There was a faint green glow in the patterns, which was quite strange. The Jun family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior stood outside the door. He pushed the door with his heavy sword. The door didn't budge. He made up his mind and pushed the door. The door didn't budge either. Lu Li signaled the Jun family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior to mobilize Xian energy and smashed at the door. Boom! The door was glowing in a green light. It trembled a bit, but still didn't open. nor did it release any horrifying attack. There is a strong, ancient inhibition formation on the door, Lung Wuxin reminded Lu Li. Pointing to the green glow on the door, she explained, those are the ancient inhibition formations. This door is hard to crack unless we can crack the ancient inhibition formation. Lu Li asked with a frown, which one of you knows about ancient inhibition formations? Both Lung Wuxin and the Jun Family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior shook their heads. The Jun Family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior explained, ancient inhibition formations are difficult to crack. Only a few powerful warriors from different universes know about them. None of us. The Jun Family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior would not lie. Lu Li said nothing. He was not in a hurry. Staring at the green lines on the door, he frowned. Was he going to go back empty-handed? Think of something, Lu Li ordered. The Jun Family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior tried to crack the door. Lung Wuxin walked over and tried. An hour later, both the Jun Family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior and Lung Wuxin gave up. They tried their best, but to no avail. The Jun Family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior even tried his best, but the door was not damaged. Lu Li had some ideas after an hour of observation, but he was not in a hurry to verify them. Instead, he stood on the side and observed in silence. Okay, you can leave now, Lu Li said, seeing that the two were going to break the door by force. When they were behind him, Lu Li waved his hands to gather the feather wind into 2 dragons of wind. He didn't fly the dragons of wind toward the door. Instead, he whooshed in through the 2 wind tunnels above the door. The 2 dragons of wind dashed into the wind tunnels. Still, there was no reaction from the door. Did I make a mistake? Lu Li blinked with doubt. As far as he could tell, the feather wind should be the key to open the door. The feather wind in the wind tunnels was strong. Earth Immortal Realm Warriors could not come in unless they were at the semi-god realm. The thing was, the forbidden ground of Elder God was not accessible to semi-god realm warriors. Emperor Hung would not let an old monster in the soul transformation realm obtain his inheritance. This was human nature. Lu Li asked Lung Wuxin, can semi-god realm warriors enter the forbidden ground of Elder God? Not really. Lung Wuxin confirmed Lu Li's assumption. She added, not even many Earth Immortal Realm Warriors can come in, or else there will be more feather wind. This has been proven. The more Earth Immortal Realm Warriors there are, the stronger the feather wind will be. Therefore, each family can only send 2 Earth Immortal Realm Warriors in. This is a consensus reached by all the families. Then it should be true. Lu Li could not figure it out. If not even Earth Immortal Realm Warriors could come in, then nobody could. Only those who could control the feather wind could stand a chance. Then, the key to opening the door should be the feather wind. Let me try another way. Lu Li thought for the time for 2 incense sticks to burn. He formed a dragon of wind with the feather wind and went to the door. The dragon of wind followed the green lines on the door and hovered around. After the dragon of wind hovered for a while, the dark door suddenly gave out a green glare and opened slowly. What? Chapter 736. The door opened quietly. It was pitch black inside. Nothing could be seen. It was like the mouth of a huge beast. Anyone who entered would be devoured. Lu Li was excited, but he didn't show it. He forced himself to calm down. There must be more than meets the eye inside. He winked at the Jun Family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior and said, you lead the way. The Jun Family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior put on a long face and walked toward the door. Lu Li and Lung Wuxin followed him closely. Their quasi-relic armors emerged. Buzzing, the 3 of them went in one after another. Lu Li saw a white glare, and then he found himself in a small hall. The 3 of them didn't move at all, fearing that they might trigger the inhibition formation. They looked around and soon fixed their eyes on a table right in front of them. The small hall was empty. There was only a table, a large door, and a teleportation array. The door was more magnificent than the one outside. It might be a passageway to the main hall. The teleportation formation was more likely to send them out of the small hall. There was a faint white glare on the wall, lighting up the entire hall. The reason why they were paying attention to the table was that there was a black wooden box on it. Needless to say, There must be treasures inside if there was a wooden box in a place like this. Lu Li didn't move. He looked around. To his surprise, there was no feather wind or inhibition formation. He winked at the June family Earth immortal realm warrior. The latter began to walk toward the table step by step. Lung Wuxin had to stand still without Lu Li's order. 1 step, 2 steps, 10 steps. The journey was safe. The June family Earth immortal realm warrior arrived at the table easily. He looked at Lu Li. Lu Li nodded. The June family Earth immortal realm warrior reached the black jade box. Swish, swish. When the June family Earth immortal realm warrior touched the jade box, the ceiling of the small hall suddenly lit up. Thunderbolts gathered. A surge of horrifying chi and energy enveloped the entire small hall. A black thunderbolt struck down. Even though the June family Earth immortal realm warrior stepped back at once, the thunderbolt still hit him accurately. The June family Earth immortal realm warrior was in a miserable state. His body was burning with black smoke. He rolled around on the ground and kept howling. Soon, he couldn't even scream as he was burned alive by the raging flames. Lu Li and Lung Wuxin didn't move. They watched as the June family Earth immortal realm warrior died. They watched as his quasi-relic armor fell off, and he became a charred corpse. Both looked terrible. Lu Li was taken aback. Luckily, he had sent the June family Earth immortal realm warrior to explore the way first. Otherwise, he would be the one dead now. Lung Wuxin was afraid that it would be Lu Li who told her to open the wooden box. If that happened, she would end up as a dead body as well. The atmosphere in the small hall was particularly oppressive, and there was a smell of burnt meat. Lu Li said nothing. He looked at the wooden box and thought about it over and over. Without a doubt, there must be a treasure in this wooden box. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a terrifying restriction. The restriction was set up by Emperor Hung to prevent others from obtaining the treasures so easily. This restriction could easily kill an Earth immortal, so the treasure inside was definitely not an ordinary quasi-relic. Even if it wasn't one of Emperor Hang's 2 divine artifacts, it was definitely a heaven-defying treasure. The problem was how to get it? Lu Li's eyes flickered. He put away the June family Earth immortal realm warrior's quasi-relic and interspatial ring. He walked around the small hall carefully, looking around. It was a pity that there was no feather wind here. If there was, he could use dragons of wind to explore the way. Lu Li walked through all the areas in the small hall with great care. Apart from the table, the other areas were safe. What disappointed him was he didn't find any clues. The other areas in the small hall were safe. Lung Wuxin had been looking around as well, but she didn't find any clues. Lu Li and Lung Wuxin looked at each other. Both felt helpless. If they didn't open the jade box, they could not take out the treasure inside. What if thunderbolts struck them when they opened the jade box? Not only did Lu Li not dare to touch the jade box himself, but he also didn't want Lung Wuxin to do it. If Lung Wuxin died, nobody would make the antidote for him. He saw the treasure, but he didn't have the courage to take it. Lu Li was frustrated. He walked to the table and stared at the wooden box, trying to find some secrets from it. The wooden box was old. It was also carved with mysterious patterns of beasts. There was a faint glow in the patterns, and some mysterious runes were looming on the wooden box. Is this wooden box a quasi-relic? Lu Li was not sure. He stared at the wooden box for a long time, but found no secrets. He was in a dilemma. He couldn't decide whether to give up or take it. He could either find a way to enter the inner hall, take the teleportation formation and leave, or risk his life to get the treasure. Enter the inner hall? Lu Li didn't even consider it. This small hall was so dangerous. Even if he could enter the inner hall, would he have the courage to take the relic weapons and armors? If he left now, he might be teleported out. His life would be saved, but this trip would be in vain. Lu Li stared at the wooden box with a frown. He began to put himself in Emperor Hang's shoes. If he were in Emperor Hang's shoes, what was the meaning of this inhibition formation? Was it to give people hope and then despair? Was there a treasure, but no one could get it? Emperor Hung wouldn't be so senseless. Clearly, the treasure was here for the destined one. Lung Wuxin stood next to Lu Li nervously, waiting for his decision. The The time for 1 incense stick to burn, 2, 3. All of a sudden, Lung Wuxin's eyes were filled with terror, because Luli closed his eyes and slowly reached out his hand towards the wooden box. Lung Wuxin trembled. If Luli died, she might die with him. When Luli died, the soul seed would go berserk. By then, her soul might collapse. However, she could not disobey Lu Li's order. She stared at Lu Li's hand that was reaching toward the wooden box. 3 feet, 3.5 feet. Lu Li's hand stopped in front of the wooden box. Lung Wuxin's heart was hanging in the air. Lu Li seemed to be in a dilemma. He was struggling inside. He paused for the time for 10 breaths. Lu Li made up his mind. He reached his hand forward and put it on the wooden box. Lung Wuxin couldn't bear to watch. She closed her eyes in fear and opened her mouth, waiting for the thunderbolts to strike down. Swish, swish, the inhibition formation glowed. A surge of horrifying qi and energy spread out. At that moment, both Lu Li and Lung Wuxin had lost all hope. Lu Li didn't even step back. The Jun family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior was killed. It was proof that he would die no matter where he went. He had lost the gamble. Losing this kind of gamble meant death. Swish, swish. A huge thunderbolt whooshed down directly toward Lu Li. The dazzling white glare enveloped Lu Li. Even Lung Wuxin, who had her eyes closed, felt she had lost her sight. The thunderbolt dissipated after it came down. Lung Wuxin waited for the time for 3 breaths, but she heard no scream from Lu Li. She opened her eyes in surprise, only to find that Lu Li had disappeared. He had vanished into thin air. Has he been blasted into ashes? Lung Wuxin blinked. Soon, she came to her senses and shouted, "No, Lu Li is not dead. Lu Li had a quasi-relic. Even if he was killed, the quasi-relic would come off automatically." What was more, Lung Wuxin felt the spiritual connection with Lu Li was still there, which meant that Lu Li was still alive. He made the right bet. Lung Wuxin was both envious and jealous. As a matter of fact, she had been wondering, the second person to touch the wooden box might not die. It was possible that Emperor Hung was testing the courage of the newcomer. After all, a warrior who was afraid of death would not achieve much. Where is Lu Li being teleported to? What will he get? Chapter 737. Lu Li was in a small hall, one that was exactly the same as the one he was in before. This small hall also had a desk, a door, and a teleportation array. The only difference was that there was a scroll beside the wooden box on the table. It was quietly placed on the table, and Lu Li could see it at a glance. Hoo-hoo! After seeing the scroll, Lu Li let out a long sigh of relief. He knew that he had made the right bet. All of his guesses were correct. Naturally, Emperor Hang's treasures should be given to the destined ones. Otherwise, Lu Li and the others would not have been able to enter that small hall. Since Emperor Hung had given Lu Li hope, he would not let Lu Li lose all hope. Emperor Hung was not a senseless man. Therefore, Lu Li chose to continue to touch the black wooden box. According to common sense, after the first person was killed, the second person would definitely not dare to touch it. This required a lot of courage, and it was a gamble with one's life. Emperor Hung probably wanted people who were not afraid of death. If a martial artist was even afraid of death, then this martial artist would definitely not be able to go far. The path of the martial Tao was to defy the heavens and change one's fate. Along the way, one would encounter the dangers of death many times. As long as he retreated even once, he might never be able to reach the peak in his life. Emperor Hung, who was able to become a god, must have encountered countless life and death situations in his life. He definitely did not like people who were afraid to move forward. Lu Li took a few deep breaths to calm himself down. He carefully walked to the desk and looked at the scroll. There were words on the scroll, written in the ancient language. There weren't many words, only dozens of them. Lu Li was overjoyed after reading them. Wicked Bead. That was the first 3 words on the scroll. Clearly, it was an introduction to the treasure in the box. The latter part did introduce the origin and usage of the Wicked Bead, as well as some instructions. According to the characters, the Wicked Bead was a piece of treasure Emperor Hung obtained in the divinity. The bead had many magical uses, but Emperor Hung had sealed 6 layers of it. One needed to reach a certain level of strength to gradually open the seals. After opening the seal, he would be able to know the specific uses of this bead. A divine artifact. Lu Li's breaths were short. It was not stated on the scroll that it was a relic, but it was something obtained from the divinity. It was highly possible that it was a relic. Emperor Hung had placed 6 seals on the bead, which meant that the bead was very heaven-defying. He was afraid that the person who obtained it would not be able to control it, so he sealed some of its uses. Of course, Emperor Hung might have some other concerns, but no matter what, this bead was definitely a heaven-defying treasure. Otherwise, Emperor Hung wouldn't have gone to the extent of sealing 6 layers. This time, Lu Li had no more concerns. He reached out and grabbed the wooden box. He easily opened the wooden box. His gaze swept across and locked onto a green bead the size of a pigeon egg. This was a very ordinary bead. There were no colors on it, no mysterious runes, and no aura flowing around it. It felt like a small green round stone. Wicked bead. The name was similar to that of the wicked lord he met in the prison of gold. Lu Li took over the bead and observed it carefully. He was sure that there was nothing special about this bead. Even if he threw it outside, no one would pick it up. Refined. Lu Li didn't think about Lung Wuxin. He didn't think about going out or entering the inner hall. He sat on the spot with his legs crossed, surrounded the bead with Xian energy, and began to dissolve the wicked bead. Buzz! The wicked bead glowed in a feeble white light. Lu Li felt refreshed. The wicked bead seemed to be easy to take control of. Just like with quasi-relics, he only needed to pour Xian energy in, and the bead would be completely dissolved when it glowed. Lu Li focused on the process. Nothing was more important than the bead. If the bead was a relic, then all his problems would be solved. Even if he could leave the Lung dynasty, he wouldn't have to be afraid with a relic in his hand. His original plan was to capture many young masters and young ladies to threaten the families to attack the Lung dynasty. But now, he had to worry about the wicked bead first. 2 hours, 4 hours, 10 hours. After 10 hours, Lu Li opened his eyes, feeling a headache. He could feel that the bead was being dissolved. But the process seemed to be slow, so slow that he wanted to vomit blood. Now that he poured Xian energy in, the bead was glowing a bit brighter than before. But it was only a bit. He had spent 10 hours, and only a little bit was gone. Maybe my realm is too low, and the relic is harder to take control of. Lu Li comforted himself. He told Lung Wuxin and the Jun family Earth immortal realm warriors outside the Wind Cave to wait for further instructions. Then he took some soul-nurturing pellets and began to cultivate Xian energy while taking control of the bead. At the same time, he studied the soul-shattering skill. Once he started cultivating, Lu Li found that the Xian Qi in the small hall was much richer than that in the Wind Cave. Cultivating here was faster than using any treasured materials. This is the outer hall. What about the main hall? How fast will the cultivation be? Lu Li was intrigued. Soon he shook his head. A man who was never content was like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. His realm was too low. He could not enter the main hall. Even if he could not get the relic weapon and armor. Would Emperor Hung let a noble Lord Realm warrior have the relic weapon and armor? Even if he did, it would be taken away soon. Emperor Hung would not allow his relic to be fought over. Lu Li hadn't taken control of the wicked bead yet. He was not ambitious enough. He focused on cultivating and taking control of the wicked bead. 1 day, 5 days, 10 days. The wicked bead was glowing, which meant that the wicked bead was being taken control bit by bit. That being said, the speed was slow. Lu Li had been working for 10 days, and he felt that he had only consumed less than 1/20th of the wicked bead. In other words, it would take Lu Li 200 days to completely take control of the wicked bead. 200 days would be more than 6 months. By then, he would have been teleported out. Lu Li frowned. He increased the output of Xian energy to speed up the process. After all, cultivating Xian energy here was too fast. He had been cultivating in the forbidden ground of Elder God for a while, and he was about to reach the middle stage of the Noble Lord realm. At the Noble Lord realm, there was no need to build another fate wheel or bead of life. The bead of life only needed to be refined. Every time a warrior at the Noble Lord realm cultivated, the bead of life would be smaller. The smaller the bead of life was, the higher the realm. At the peak of the Noble Lord realm, the bead of life would be smaller than it was at the initial stage. But the bead of life would be more solid and indestructible. Also, the warrior would be more in tune with heaven and earth. It would be easier for the warrior to learn profound meanings through the bead of life. Luli didn't have the time to reach the middle stage of the Noble Lord realm. He planned to continue his cultivation and take control of the wicked bead. In a month, the bead of life would be more compact. By then, he could try to reach the middle stage of the Noble Lord realm. It only took Luli 5 days to take control of the quasi-relic. 6 layers of the bead were sealed. Now, it would take him several months. Luli would never believe that this was not some kind of treasure. What would be the use of the bead after he took control of it? Luli was looking forward to it. A relic. Chapter 738. As it turned out, Luli had been overthinking. It took him 4 months. During this time, Luli used many mystical materials to reforge his bead of life and reach the middle stage of the Noble Lord realm. His soul-shattering, profound meaning was further improved. The vibration waves of his strength and his soul had reached the limit of 88. During the 4 months, Luli poured a large amount of Xian energy into the wicked bead. Today, the wicked bead finally glowed. He had established a spiritual connection with the wicked bead. He had taken control of the wicked bead. What frustrated him was that he only found one function of the wicked bead, which was to take objects into the wicked bead. In other words, he had wasted 4 months, and all he got was an interspatial ring. There was a small hole in the wicked bead that could store things. The small hole in the wicked bead had nothing, and the space was small, only with a radius of 100 feet, smaller than the space in his interspatial ring. Luli did not believe it. He used his psychic power again and again to check. However, apart from storing things, the wicked bead had no other functions. He took out something from the interspatial ring and tried to use the wicked bead. It was true that the wicked bead could only be used for storage. SH*T, SH*T, SH*T. It could not enhance abilities, it could not assist in battles, and it had no miraculous effects. Luli felt like vomiting blood. He had wasted several months and finally taken control of the wicked bead. He had thought that there would be some powerful skills. What he got was just an interspatial ring. The wicked bead was sealed. When the seal was opened, there might be other functions. But Luli was running out of time. He would be teleported out in a month. He had hoped that the wicked bead could deal with the situation. The greater the expectation, the greater the disappointment. At first, he planned to capture dozens of young masters and young ladies and threaten them to attack the Lung dynasty. It was a difficult plan, and the success rate was not high. But at least there was some hope. Later on, he pinned all his hopes on the wicked bead and wasted several crucial months. He never expected that this would be the result. Naturally, he was disappointed. Wait a minute. The wicked bead was carefully stored in the underground palace by Emperor Hung. How could this be all it could do? Luli was in deep thoughts. He used his mind to sense the small hall inside the bead. The small hall inside was similar to the one he was in now, but it was empty inside. There was not even a desk, nothing, and there was no door. Small hall? Can humans go in? All of a sudden, Luli sensed something. Then, the wicked bead suddenly glowed. Luli felt a strong force enveloping him. He vanished on the spot and entered the small hall inside the wicked bead. Luli was taken aback. He looked around the hall carefully with his eyes wide open. Then, he used the spiritual connection with the wicked bead to sense the outside. He noticed that the wicked bead was floating in the air like a stone. The light on its surface slowly disappeared, and it turned into an ordinary green bead, quietly floating in midair. I have entered the wicked bead. The wicked bead can hold people. A space ring couldn't be used to store people because it was an enclosed space with no air inside, so they would suffocate to death. But the wicked bead was different. Luli did not feel any discomfort in the wicked bead. Instead, he felt the air was fresh. Let's try cultivating. Luli sat with his legs crossed and began to cultivate Xian energy. Soon, he was shocked again. In the small hall inside the wicked bead, the Xianxi in heaven and earth was almost the same as that outside. Out! Luli cultivated for a while. The wicked bead glowed. Luli felt a white glare, and then he appeared in the small hall outside. Not bad. Luli was relieved. At the very least, the wicked bead was an advanced cultivation room. He had not wasted 4 months. Where's the seal of the wicked bead? Where is it? If I can crack the first seal, there might be a new function. Luli focused his mind in the wicked bead. He poured Xian energy into the wicked bead. Soon, he found a thin layer of shield inside. He had found the seal. Let's try again. There is still a month to go. Luli wanted to see if he could crack the first seal. If he could enhance his abilities, he would be able to deal with the fatal situation when he was teleported out. He poured more Xian energy to dissolve the first seal. The wicked bead glowed. Through the spiritual connection between Luli and the bead, he could feel that the first seal was glowing, just like when he was working on the wicked bead. 1 day later, Luli gave up at once. The first seal was slower than the wicked bead, 10 times slower. It would take years. He had to leave in a month. He was running out of time. He stood up and looked at the gate of the inner hall. The wicked bead could not help him get through the crisis. He had to figure out a way to enter the inner hall. 3 days. Luli set himself 3 days. If he could not crack the gate of the inner hall in 3 days, he would go out and try to capture some young masters and young ladies. He would threaten their families to attack the Lung dynasty. At the very least, he must take down the mountain through which they were teleported out. Luli walked to the gate of the inner hall and poured Xian energy into it. He pushed, hacked with the divine weapon of Dragon King, attacked with the soul-shattering skill, and used the Rising Dragon skill. Luli had tried everything he could think of. Nothing happened to the gate. Only when he used the Rising Dragon skill would the inhibition formations on the gate glow. Luli even calmed himself down to observe the gate, trying to crack the ancient inhibition formations. Unfortunately, he knew nothing about inhibition formations. He wasted 3 days with no progress. Let's go. Luli was a resolute man. He had no more illusions about entering the inner hall. He strode to the teleportation formation. He poured out Xian energy, and the teleportation formation glowed. He appeared in the first outer hall. Luli, Lung Wuxin, was cultivating here. She was delighted to see Luli. She wouldn't have to die as long as Luli was still alive. Then, her face became bitter. Luli was back, and she would continue to be Luli's slave at his beck and call. Let's go. Luli waved his hand, and Lung Wuxin followed him. They stepped into the teleportation formation. This time, after a white glare, they did not appear in the wind cave, but on the grassland outside. Outside the wind cave, Jun Mengchen, 2 young masters, young ladies, and the Jun family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior were hiding in a forest to cultivate. Uncle 9 of the Jun family rushed over as soon as he saw Luli and Lung Wuxin. Where's 11? The Jun family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior had a bad feeling when he saw only 2 people. Luli didn't answer. He looked at Jun Mengchen and the young ladies behind him. Jun Mengchen and the other 2 were looking at Luli with mixed feelings. There was fear and resentment in their eyes, but they didn't dare to show it. Luli was their master now, and he could humiliate them at will. They would only be asking for humiliation if they were too aggressive. Luli ignored their looks and ordered, "Do you know any young masters and young ladies? Send them a message and tell them to come here." Chapter 739. Jun Mengchen did manage to get in touch with a young master from another major family in the Earth Imperial Universe, the Hao family. However, the 2 clans had recently entered a honeymoon period, and there had been no internal strife for hundreds of years. This time around, if Jun Mengchen really tricked them, it would cause the relationship between the 2 clans to worsen. It might even lead to a civil war between the 2 clans. The problem was, could Jun Mingxin disobey Lu Li? Of course not. Jun Mingxin took out a token and infused it with dark force. The token soon lit up. He sensed for a while and replied, "Young Master Hao Chuan and the others are not far away. I've already informed them. They should be here in a day or two at most." Child Hao Chuan, did he come in? Lu Li paused for a second, and then he was delighted. Last time, he was almost killed by young Master Hao Chuan. Now, he could have his revenge. His eyes flickered. A moment later, he ordered, "You wait outside. Lung Wuxin will go in." When Hao Chuan arrived, he would lure them in. Tell them that there are precious treasures inside, but one of your Earth Immortals is dead. That's why they don't dare to go in and look for treasures. So, tell them to go in and look for treasures together. Zhu Mingxin thought about it and said, "Don't worry, I will think of a way." Lu Li nodded. Zhu Mingxin was sensible. Even though he could not let go of his pride to call Lu Li master, he used the word sir to show that he was sensible and didn't want to suffer more. Lu Li walked into the cave with Lung Wuxin. They didn't go far, only 2 miles in. He controlled the feather wind to circle around inside the cave. In this way, young Master Hao Chuan and the others wouldn't be scared away when they came in. Lu Li sat with his legs crossed, cultivating and waiting patiently. There's not much time left, only a month. If he could win over as many young masters and young mistresses as he could in this 1 month, he might still have the capital to fight. 2 days passed by in the blink of an eye. The sound of footsteps drifted over from outside as Jun Mingxin's voice rang out. "Young Master Hao Chuan, with your help this time around, we will definitely be able to obtain the treasures in the stone cave." "He's here." A glint of killing intent rose in Lu Li's eyes. He waved his hands and began to gather feather wind. He generated several dragons of wind behind him and waited for those outside to come in. After a while, a few figures slowly walked in from outside. At the front was the 9th son of the Jun family, followed by a strange earth-level deity, followed by young Master Hao Chuan and the others. There were a total of 7 young masters and young ladies, and an earth-level deity brought up the rear. Almost there, Lu Li sensed that they were only 200 or 300 feet away. He controlled several dragons of wind to whooshing over. It was pitch dark in the tunnel. Psychic power could not be used. Those on the outside could not see Lu Li and Lung Wuxin. But as soon as the wind dragon came, people outside could hear it. Young Master Hao Chuan and the others were alerted. The Earth Immortal Realm Warrior of Hao family asked in a deep voice, "What is it?" Uncle 9 of the Jun family was smart enough. He threw himself to the ground and shouted, "There is special feather wind in the cave. Get down now." The Hao family's people didn't know that this was a trap, so when they saw the Jun family's people lying down, they quickly followed suit. The result was needless to say. Several wind dragons whizzed over and circled around everyone. Terrifying soul attacks attacked everyone's soul. Jun Mingxin was smart. He smashed his palm against his own head, knocking himself out, saving himself from the pain of the soul attack. The other young master and young lady of the Jun family imitated them and knocked themselves unconscious. In the end, the Jun family's 9th brother followed suit and knocked himself unconscious, ignoring the Hao family. Hao Chuan and the others were dumbfounded. They rolled around on the ground, howling. Soon they passed out. The 2 Earth Immortal Realm Warriors of the Hao family were struggling, trying to take Hao Chuan out. But every time they stood up, 2 wind dragons whooshed on them and they would fall to the ground with their heads in their hands. After the time for 1 incense stick to burn, everything quieted down. Everyone had passed out. Lu Li waved his hand to Lung Wuxin and she walked over. Lu Li moved the wind dragons away, while Lung Wuxin dragged an Earth Immortal Realm Warrior of the Hao family over. What happened next was simple. Lu Li released soul seeds and turned them into soul slaves one by one. In more than 2 hours, all of them had become Lu Li's soul slaves. 2 families. Lu Li felt more confident now. He asked Lung Wuxin to wake them up with cold water. He walked over in strides. Looking at young Master Hao Chuan, who was scratching his head in pain, Lu Li said with a smile, "Young Master Hao Chuan, long time no see. You are It was still dark here. Young Master Hao Chuan's soul was in pain. He could not see clearly. When he saw it was Lu Li, he flew into a rage. Filled with killing intent, he yelled, "It is you?" Courting death. Before he could finish his words, Lu Li sneered, "Kneel." Lu Li told young Master Hao Chuan through the soul seeds. Without any hesitation, young Master Hao Chuan dropped to his knees. His body and soul were no longer under his control. Young Master Hao Chuan understood soon. He was frightened. The other two young masters and one young lady looked awful. The two Earth Immortal Realm warriors of the Hao family glared at Jun Mingqian and the others. Clearly, they were holding a grudge against the Jun family for setting them up. But with Lu Li here, nobody dared to say anything. Soul slaves had a natural reverence for their masters, a reverence that lurked in the depth of their souls. Though their souls were in a mess, now that they had come to their senses, they understood the cruel truth. Let's go. Torturing a soul slave did not bring Lu Li much pleasure. The tunnel was narrow and the light was dim. Lu Li waved his hand and they walked out. Let's tend to our wounds first. Outside on the grassland, Lu Li ordered. They sat down with their legs crossed and took out soul-nurturing pellets to tend to their wounds. Lu Li was in deep thought. After a while, he asked Lung Wuxin, "Do you think your family will let me go if I send powerful warriors of the Hao family and the Jun family to your family to negotiate?" Lung Wuxin shook her head and sighed. "I don't know. After all, Wushang is the most talented talent of the Lung family in the past 1,000 years. He is the designated successor, the favorite child of my father and grandpa. Also, if I don't kill you, the Lung family will be humiliated. For a super family, this is unacceptable." Lu Li sighed. He took out the token of the Blood Emperor and circulated Xian energy in his hand. The token of the Blood Emperor began to glow. A surge of energy like that of a wild beast spread out from the token. There was still a month to go. Lu Li was trying to contact the Blood Emperor and ask for help from this powerful warrior that he had never met. However, the token of the Blood Emperor glowed for a long time with no response. Lu Li didn't want to crush the token of the Blood Emperor. If there was no response now, it would be the same even if he crushed it. What was more, he had never met the Blood Emperor. Why would the Blood Emperor help him? Several hours later, Lu Li saw that Hao Chuan, Jun Mingqian, and the others had recovered. He woke them up and asked, "Do you have a way to contact your families?" Jun Mingqian and Hao Chuan hesitated. Then Jun Mingqian answered, "We can all use Prince Stones to contact our families." "Okay." Lu Li stood up and shouted, "In half a month, contact your families. If you want to live, tell them to go to the entrance of the forbidden ground of Elder God at the north of the city of Lung and kill all the Lung family warriors there. The Lung family has gathered powerful warriors there to kill me. If I die, so will you. In this half a month, try to attract more young masters and young ladies here. The more soul slaves I have, the more likely I will be to survive. As long as I can survive, you'll be free one day. Do you understand?" Chapter 740. Lung Wuxin couldn't contact the other young masters, so Jun Mingqian could only contact Hao Chuan, and Hao Chuan could only contact Jun Mingqian. Lu Li told Uncle Nine of the Jun family to take Jun Mingqian and an Earth Immortal Realm warrior of the Hao Chuan family to show Hao Chuan around to see if they could lure some young masters and young ladies over. The forbidden land of Elder God was too big. It all depended on luck. Without a wind tunnel, it would be troublesome to take down an Earth Immortal Realm warrior. Lu Li would have to try his luck. Even though Lu Li could control some feather wind to follow him at any time, the feather wind would disperse if he flew too far away. Feather wind existed in many places. However, feather wind came and went without a trace. Who could tell when it would appear? Lu Li cultivated in the wind cave with Lung Wuxin while the others waited outside. What if someone happened to pass by sheer luck? 1 day, 2 days, 4 days. Before Jun Mingqian and Hao Chuan came back, the other young masters, young ladies, and an Earth Immortal Realm warrior of the Hao family suddenly rushed in. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. From outside came some noises. Lu Li and Lung Wuxin looked at each other, wondering how lucky they were. There really was a dead rat that ran into the hole. The Hao family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior shouted from the distance, "Master, run! Warriors of the Mage Imperial Universe are here." The Hao family Earth Immortal Realm Warrior rushed over with several warriors. Luli did not move. Instead, he grinned. People of the Mage Imperial Universe were said to be lunatics. The people from the other three realms didn't dare to provoke him, but he didn't care. He would take down whoever came. He controlled the feather wind to form several dragons of wind and shouted, "Get down, all of you!" The group of warriors were already more than 100 feet away from Luli. They all dropped to the ground as soon as they heard the words. Luli controlled several dragons of wind to whooshing over their heads. Their eardrums were bleeding because of the shrill noise. Luli controlled the dragon of wind to not touch them as much as possible. None of them suffered from powerful soul attacks. The dragon of wind whooshed on toward the four people coming from behind. "What is it?" "Featherwind." "Retreat." Shouts immediately rang out from outside, and the four of them turned around, wanting to flee. Unfortunately, the feather wind was too fast, and the cave was too narrow for the four of them to escape. The 5 wind dragons circled around the four of them, and the four of them clutched their heads and rolled on the ground, howling in pain. The 2 young masters soon passed out. The 2 Earth Immortals held on for the time it took for an incense stick to burn before they passed out as well. "Not bad, not bad." Luli grinned. 2 more young masters meant another powerful warrior of a super family. Now that there were 3 super families, they probably dared to attack the Lung family. The rest of the matter was a matter of course. He would first drag the 2 Earth Immortals over and plant a soul seed in them. After the 2 Earth Immortals were captured, he would capture the remaining 2 young masters. Luli dragged the 4 out. When they woke up, he asked them some questions and asked them to tend to their wounds. The 2 were indeed young masters from a super family of the Mage Imperial Universe. They were from the Wu family, one of the 4 major families of the Mage Imperial Universe. One of them was the Wu clan's young clan leader, Wu Xie, and the other was the Wu clan's elder's grandson, Wu Mingshi. It would be great if I could take down another young master from a super family. Luli prayed that this was all about luck. No matter what, he had to contact the 3 families and force them to send experts to attack the entrance of the forbidden ground of Ancient God in the north of City of Lung. Luli went back to cultivate. The others spread out to see if there would be any stupid rabbits bumping into them. 1 day passed, 5 days, 8 days. This time, Luli's luck was not so good. Another 8 days passed. Neither Hao Chuan nor Jun Mingchen came back. No warrior came. There were only 3 days left. Luli was not in the mood to cultivate. He walked around the wind cave, hoping for a miracle. 2 days later, he heard a noise coming from the north. Following that, young Master Hao Chuan said, "It is right ahead of us. We are almost there. Let's go." "They are coming." Clearly, Hao Chuan's words were meant for Luli. Luli waved his hand, and those nearby went into hiding. An Earth Immortal Realm Warrior of the Hao family went into the cave, with Lu Li while the others hid nearby. Lu Li went into the cave with an Earth Immortal Realm Warrior and waited quietly. After the time for 1 incense stick to burn, he heard footsteps in the cave. There were many footsteps. Clearly, there were 8 or 9 people. So many? Are there disciples from 2 families? Luli remembered what Hao Chuan said about everyone. He controlled a large amount of feather wind and generated 7 or 8 wind dragons at once. This was no laughing matter. If he couldn't knock them all out, he would definitely die. Even though he had an Earth Immortal Realm Warrior with him, it was still possible that he would be killed. The footsteps were getting louder. The Earth Immortal Realm Warrior sensed. When the warriors were only 2,000 feet away, the Earth Immortal Realm Warrior nodded to Luli. Woo, 7 or 8 wind dragons whooshed on. This time, Luli did not tell Hao Chuan to get down. He didn't want to alert the enemies when there were so many of them. "What is that?" "Feather wind, retreat." "Young Master Hao Chuan, how come there is such strong feather wind? We have fallen into a trap. I think there are people in there." Hearing the shrill noise, chaos ensued. The feather wind whooshed on, and soon there were miserable cries. Luli listened to the noises to gauge the situation outside. Oh no! Luli noticed that the other three had run out of the cave as they sensed something was off. Through soul seeds, Luli ordered the 2 Earth Immortal Realm warriors of the Wu family of the Mage Imperial Universe to intercept those who were running away. After the time for 1 incense stick to burn, everything quieted down. Luli waved to the Hao family Earth Immortal Realm warrior. The latter rushed out to check and made sure that it was safe before he reported to Luli. Whoosh! Luli didn't mind them. They wouldn't wake up anytime soon. He dashed out of the cave because the fight had broken out. 2 young masters and 1 Earth Immortal Realm warrior escaped. Luli left 2 Earth Immortal Realm warriors outside to stop the 3. Okay, Luli was relieved after a while. The 3 could not get away. There were 2 young masters from the Mage Imperial Universe outside. The young masters and young ladies of the Jun family and the Hao family were all here. They had surrounded the 3. It was only a matter of time before they were captured. Let's go. Luli went in with the Hao family Earth Immortal Realm warrior and began to control the 6 or 7 that had fainted. This time, Hao Chuan brought disciples of 2 families with him. 4 of them were Earth Immortal Realm warriors. Clearly, they were from major families. The Hao family Earth Immortal Realm warrior went over to check and explained they are from 2 major families of the Underworld universe. Luli told the Hao family Earth Immortal Realm warrior to take 1 Earth Immortal Realm warrior with him and began to plant soul seeds one by one. As more and more people were controlled, the number of soul seeds in Luli's soul pond decreased. Wait. After 3 more Earth Immortal Realm warriors and 2 young masters were controlled, Luli suddenly felt his soul was weakening. He blinked in confusion. His soul energy had always been abundant. How could he feel weak? He asked. The Hao family Earth Immortal Realm warrior explained. Many powerful warriors from ancient times knew about soul slaves. Nowadays, some old warriors in some families know about soul slaves as well. As far as I know, the more soul slaves you have, the more it will affect your primary soul and your future cultivation. Therefore, the powerful warriors rarely use soul slaves. Affect my cultivation? Li's expressions changed. On second thought, he felt it made sense. His primary soul was connected to many soul slaves. Naturally, his primary soul would not be pure. His mind would not be calm enough. Naturally, he would be distracted during cultivation. Let's think about it later. Luli pouted. He didn't know if he could survive at the moment. He could not worry about his cultivation in the future. He had to control the soul slaves first. He took out some soul-nurturing elixirs to make his soul less weak. Then, he went on to control the other soul slaves. Chapter 741. It's about time. He had captured 5 disciples. If the powerful warriors of the 5 families could not conquer the entrance to the forbidden ground of Elder God at the north of the city of Long, then it would be pointless to capture more disciples. Luli told Jun Mengqian to come back through the soul seed. Jun Mengqian must be on his way. Luli told him to come back in half a month. Luli felt even more feeble in his soul after he took control of the 4 outside. He knew that the strength of his soul was at its limit. If he went on taking more soul slaves, he might be devoured by it. He asked the injured to tend to their wounds while he took out the top-level soul-nurturing pellets he got from young Master Hao Chuan. He must strengthen his soul, or he would be as weak as a sick person. His soul would be overwhelmed. A day and a half later, Jun Mengqian came back. Unlucky for him, he didn't run into any young masters or young ladies. Luckily, Luli didn't need them anymore. His soul was at its limit. He could not take more soul slaves. Another day had passed. Luli opened his eyes. He had consumed 10 top-level pellets. The feebleness in his soul was not as strong. He gathered everyone in front of him, pointed to Jun Mengqian, and said, "You, contact your family through the Prince Stone. Send my message. You are all under my control. Tell the Jun family, the Hao family, the Wu family, the Li family, and the Rin family of the Underworld universe. Tell the powerful warriors of the 5 families to attack the entrance to the forbidden ground of Elder God at the north of the city of Lung and kill all the powerful warriors of the Lung family. In half a month, I will teleport there. If I die, so will you. As long as I can survive, I will set you free." Jun Mingchen nodded. He took out the Prince Stone and poured Xian energy into it. The Prince Stone glowed. Lu Li shouted, "Kneel." Nobody dared to question Lu Li's order. The more than 20 people knelt on the ground, feeling wronged and ashamed. Lu Li stood where he was with pride. He wanted the families to see the reality. He could control their lives. If he wanted this group of people to live, he had to follow his orders. The Prince Stone glowed brighter and brighter. After a while, Xian energy in heaven and earth came together and a picture emerged. It was a garden with an old man in a luxurious robe standing in a pavilion. "Mingchen, what is it?" The old man's puzzled voice came from inside, and soon his eyes turned cold. Through the Prince Stone, he could see that Jun Mingchen and the others were all kneeling on the ground. Next to them were many young masters and young ladies. A young man at the noble lord realm was standing in front of them. The old man in luxurious robes was Jun Mingchen's grandfather, the current leader of the Jun family. How powerful was such a person? He could tell at once that something was wrong. He looked at Lu Li without saying anything. "Grandfather." Jun Mingchen bitterly smiled. His face was filled with shame. He hurriedly added, "All of us were captured by him and became his sole slaves. He needs you to cooperate with the big families to attack the entrance of the forbidden ground of ancient God in the north of city of Lung. He'll be teleported there in half a month. The Lung family wants to kill him, but he wants to live." Jun Mingchen simply said a few words. He knew that given his grandfather's intelligence, he would be able to understand the situation with just a few words. As for the other matters, his grandfather would make the decision himself. "Who are you?" The old man didn't look at Jun Mingchen. He stared at Lu Li and asked. Lu Li smiled, cupped his fists, and said, "I am Lu Li and nobody. Family Patriarch Jun. I don't mean to challenge the dignity of the Jun family. But the Lung family wants to kill me, and I cannot live on. I have to ask the Jun family, Hao family, Wu family, Li family, and the Rin family for help. As long as I can live on, I promise that I will not do anything rash." Lu Li was polite. He didn't want to become enemies with the powerful warriors of the universes. He just wanted to survive. Therefore, it was pointless to anger the big shots of the families. "I understand. Do not hurt my family. Otherwise, you know what will happen," the old man in luxurious robes said after a moment of silence. He waved his hand, and the image in midair disappeared. The Prince Stone in Jun Mingchen's hand exploded at the same time. "Good." Lu Li nodded. He turned to young Master Hao Chuan and said with a smile, "Hao Chuan, it is your turn. Contact your family." Young Master Hao Chuan took out the Prince Stone in grief and indignation and poured Xian energy into it. After a while, an image appeared in midair. In the image was a lady in a phoenix robe. She was sitting in the hall, and her eyes were sharp. She glanced over the hall and then fixed her eyes on Lu Li. The lady didn't look at Hao Chuan, but Hao Chuan had to say something. He looked at the lady in shame and said, "Mother, I am useless and I have been captured." Lu Li said, "As long as the 5 families can work together to conquer the city of Lung. Mother, the old patriarch of the Jun family has agreed. Mother, help me." Hao Chuan told Lu Li everything. Seeing that the lady didn't want to say anything, Lu Li cupped his fists and said with a bitter smile, "Madam of the Hao family, I am Lu Li. I don't mean to offend. Shut up." Before Lu Li could finish his words, **** interrupted him and said coldly, "Kill Hao Chuan and the others if you have guts. I will wipe out your entire family, even if you have to run to the ends of the world." With that said, the image in midair was broken. Lu Li was still bowing. He flew into a rage when he saw the image in midair was broken. He stared at a young master of the Hao family next to Hao Chuan. Lu Li's blood claw came out and reached at the head of the young master. Buzzing. The young master's quasi-relic armor appeared automatically. Luli shouted, "Take it back." The young master's eyes were filled with fear. But Luli could control his soul directly through soul seed. The young master's quasi-relic armor went back into his body. Luli's blood claw reached at the young master's head. Bang! The young master's head was crushed. Hao Chuan and the others were pale with fright. Hao Chuan cupped his fist to Lu Li and said, "Luli, don't be rash. My mother will save us. She is just putting on a strong front. She will not leave us to our own devices." "I hope so." Luli took the quasi-relic armor and interspatial ring from the young master. The young master must have left behind a jade talisman of life at the Hao family. Luli killed one young master to warn the other young masters of the Hao family. He was not trying to scare them. He really had the guts to kill them. He turned to the future family patriarch of the Wu family of the Mage Imperial Universe and said coldly, "It's your turn." Blood was still dripping from Lu Li's blood claw. Wu Xie, the future family patriarch of the Wu family of the Mage Imperial Universe, smiled and said, "Lord Lu, don't be impulsive. My family will not mind looting the Lung dynasty. Don't worry." Wu Xie took out his print stone. A moment later, an image appeared in midair. It was a pool of blood. A middle-aged man was sitting in the pool, cultivating some kind of skill. "Father." Not only was Wu Xie not upset or angry, he even said with excitement, "I have been captured. Go and work with the major families of the Mage Imperial Universe to attack the Lung dynasty. Many families are going to take action, including the Jun family, the Hao family, the Rin family, and the Li family. If we can take down the Lung dynasty, I will be able to live." Lu Li saw the passion in Wu Xie's eyes. He thought to himself that the Mage Imperial Universe was full of lunatics. Lung Wuxin, who was kneeling in front of Wu Xie, was taken aback. If the four families of the Mage Imperial Universe were to take action together, the Lung dynasty would be wiped out in an instant. Lunatic, lunatic! Lung Wuxin regretted. She shouldn't have brought Lu Li out from the inferno. She should have killed him on the spot. Chapter 742. Wu Xie's father was expressionless and ignored Lu Li. After conversing with Wu Xie for a while and asking some questions, he did not make any promises. Then the image collapsed. Behind them were the Li and Rin families of the Netherworld world. This was one of the 5 small realms, and the Li and Rin families were the rulers of the mysterious underworld realm. They cannot be compared with a superfamily like the Lung family, but their strength was not bad. The fact that the Lung family could send 2 Earth Immortals to protect the 2 young masters showed that the 2 families were not weak. The 2 families were more or less the same. They didn't make any promises, and they both threatened Lu Li. Lu Li just ignored their words. If an expert from the Lung clan were to attack him after he went out, he would be smashed to pieces in an instant. Therefore, those threats were meaningless to him. If he died, he would control the soul seeds to go berserk and kill everyone before he died. When the last print stone exploded, Lu Li exhaled in relief. He asked everyone to rest on the spot and wait for the final moment. Lu Li walked into the wind cave with Lung Wuxin and asked an Earth Immortal Realm warrior to stand guard outside. After entering the wind tunnel, he asked Lung Wuxin, "What if I put all these people into my interspatial ring? When I'm teleported out, will they follow me to the city of Lung?" "Space ring?" Lung Wuxin was speechless. She touched her nose embarrassedly and said, "I'll be suffocated to death soon if I put them in my interspatial ring." Space rings could only hold inanimate objects, not living people. This was common sense. No one had ever thought of using a space ring to store a living person. What if they died after being stored inside? Lu Li said coldly, "I am asking you if you will teleport to the Central Imperial Universe with me. Don't worry about anything else." "I don't know." Lung Wuxin thought for a moment, then shook her head and said, "Maybe, maybe not." Although putting them into a space ring can be considered as entering another space, the ancient barriers here are very powerful. What if they can forcibly teleport people out of the space ring? Lu Li had an idea. Entering the interspatial ring would be another space. Logically speaking, the restrictions in this space shouldn't be able to restrain someone from another space. He could put all of them into the wicked bead and bring them to the Lung dynasty. This way, he could take a group of people as hostages, which would increase his chances of survival. He now had 9 Earth Immortal Realm warriors under his command, although it was not significant to the Lung family. But at least they were stronger than him. With his current strength, he could not even deal with a run Huang outside of the forbidden land of ancient God. If only there is feather wind outside, Lu Li exclaimed to himself. The feather wind gave him the ability to fight against Earth Immortal Realm warriors. If there was feather wind outside, his abilities would be comparable to Earth Immortal Realm warriors. No, on this thought, Lu Li suddenly had an idea. Could he store some feather wind in the wicked bead? If he could store some feather wind, he would have another terrifying skill to kill his enemies. Just do it. Lu Li walked into the cave. Feather wind was blowing. Lu Li took out the wicked bead and tried to suck in the feather wind. Buzz! The wicked bead glowed. Something miraculous happened. Strands of feather wind were sucked in. Feather wind kept coming, and all of it was sucked into the wicked bead. All right, Lu Li was overjoyed. He focused his mind on the wicked bead. Indeed, strands of feather wind came out from the small hall. The feather wind was still in the hall, floating in the air. Nice. Though the small hall could not store too much feather wind, it was enough to cheer Lu Li up. Not even Earth Immortal Realm warriors could survive the soul attack from the feather wind. It was a powerful skill. Lu Li walked on. The wicked bead glowed in his hand. All the feather wind in the cave was sucked in. Lung Wuxin, who was following Lu Li, was filled with astonishment. Looking at the glaring bead in Lu Li's hand, she was amazed and doubtful. She wondered if this was the treasure Lu Li obtained from the underground hall. Almost there, Lu Li walked for several miles and absorbed a great amount of feather wind. More than half of the small hall in the wicked bead was filled with feather wind. Only the space 2 feet down was free of feather wind. Lu Li planned to take everyone to the Central Imperial Universe. Naturally, the wicked bead could not be filled with feather wind. It was a pity that the small hall was too small. It had a radius of 100 feet and a height of 100 feet. It could not store much feather wind. If Lu Li could generate 5 dragons of wind at a time, he could only release dozens of attacks at most. It is up to fate. Lu Li and Lung Wuxin had done all they could. They went to the entrance of the cave to cultivate. They would be teleported out in 15 days. While Lu Li was in peace, the universe outside was in chaos. In the Earth Imperial Universe, the Jun family patriarch brought a group of powerful warriors to the Hao family's territory, the Heaven City. After half a day of discussion, the two families sent several messengers to the Mage Imperial Universe and the Underworld Universe, respectively. Jun Mengqian and Hao Chuan were the most outstanding disciples of the two families. Of course, they would save them if they could. The two families might turn a deaf ear to other conditions. But Lu Li's conditions were not harsh. More importantly, this time, 5 families would be working together. If the other 3 families agreed to work together, the mission would not be difficult. What was more, the 2 families could reap great benefits. It would take time for the 2 families' messengers to go to the Mage Imperial Universe and the Underworld Universe. But the 2 families believed that the other 3 families would not say no. They had begun to prepare. 3 days later, more than 20 powerful warriors of the 2 families left their respective cities secretly and teleported to the Prison of Gold in the Purgatory of Primordial Chaos. Once there, the 2 families snuck toward the entrance of the Central Imperial Universe. 3 days later, the 2 jade talismans in the hands of the Jun family patriarch cracked. Jun family patriarch and Hao family progenitor warriors said with a smile, "It's done. The 3 families have agreed. Let's go and conquer the entrance to the Central Imperial Universe first. Then, we will teleport to the City of Chaos of the Central Imperial Universe. As long as the City of Chaos is under control, everything else will be easy." As long as the City of Chaos was under control, they would be able to attack and defend at will. By the time the other three families sent their warriors to the Central Imperial Universe, the outcome would be set. There were many families in the Central Imperial Universe. There were three superfamilies: the Feng family, the Qi family, and the Lung family. In the past, when there was an invasion, all the families in the universe would work together to resist enemies. However, this time, the five families were working together, and the target was the Lung family. The other families would not be so determined to fight to the death. After all, the five families were not here to loot the entire Central Imperial Universe or conquer it. They were here to deal with the Lung family. The Hao family progenitor warrior was old and lethargic. When he closed his eyes, only a thin line could be seen. He twitched his eyelids and said, "Conquering the city of chaos is not difficult. Wiping out the Lung family or taking a bite out of the Lung family is not difficult either. The problem is, how are we going to split the spoils? The lunatics of the Mage Imperial Universe will demand an exorbitant price. Later, we will have a secret discussion with the two families of the Underworld Universe. We will work together to suppress the Wu family of the Mage Imperial Universe. This time, we will get the biggest share." "Okay." Jun family patriarch nodded in agreement. He grinned. The two warriors did not talk about Lu Li and their disciples. They only talked about how to split the spoils. It was as if their mission was just to loot the Lung family. Because of Lu Li, many powerful warriors were mobilized. Flames of war rose in several universes. Soon, blood would flow like a river. P.S. November 11th, are you going to chop your hands? Don't chop them all. Save one for the recommendation. Chapter 743. In merely 4 days, the powerful warriors of the Jun family and the Hao family had arrived at the entrance to the Central Imperial Universe. They didn't attack at once. Jun family patriarch took action on his own. He went to the Archbridge Peak, circled around the peak, and began to build inhibition formations. Jun family patriarch had a profound knowledge of inhibition formations. It was easy to take them down since there were Earth Immortal Realm warriors guarding the entrance. That being said, in order to take them down without alerting them, inhibition formations would be necessary. Otherwise, once they were alerted, the City of Chaos might shut down the teleportation formation. Jun family patriarch worked for 2 hours. Finally, he smiled and made a gesture to the dozens in the distance. Whoosh, 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 the dozens flew up. The Jun family patriarch poured Xian energy. The mountains around the Archbridge Peak lit up at once. Thousands of beams of light shone into the two mountains. The three guarding the teleportation formation were alerted at once. However, at that moment, they felt they were enveloped by countless beams of light. Not only were they blinded, but they were also in a trance. The three were in a trance for the time, for 2 breaths. When they came back to their senses, their necks were grabbed. 3 black iron chains wrapped around the 3 of them, causing them to be unable to circulate their profound energy and their bodies to be unable to move. Then, their interspatial rings were taken off and they were taken out of the cave. They saw who were coming. When they saw Jun family patriarch and Hao family progenitor warrior, they were enraged. One of them shouted, "Is the Earth Imperial Universe declaring war against the Central Imperial Universe?" Jun family patriarch smiled coldly and said, "Please do not misunderstand us. We're just here to run some errands. We do not intend to start a war. Please forgive us for the inconvenience." Hao family progenitor warrior took out 3 pellets and fed them to the 3. Soon they passed out. Hao family progenitor warrior ordered the 6. "You are responsible for guarding this place. Inform us at once if anything goes wrong. Kill the 3 at once if they dare to do anything rash. Let's go." The old master of the Jun family took the lead and rushed into the cave. A group of people followed behind him and rushed into the portal. After a flash of white light, more than 40 powerful warriors appeared in the City of Chaos at the same time. As soon as they arrived, they blasted at the teleportation formations in the city, destroying them one by one. The only one left was the one that led to the city of Lung. The only remaining teleportation formation had been sealed by the Hao family patriarch. As long as there weren't any reinforcements, taking down Primal Chaos City was too easy for them. Whoosh, 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 in the city of chaos, countless strong cultivators rose into the sky. There were more than 20 Earth immortals and countless human sovereigns. There was also an old monster with a terrifying aura. He should be in the incarnation plane. Since Primal Chaos City was so important, naturally there were transformed spirit realm old monsters guarding it. Jun Hongya, Hao Changjun. The spirit-severing experts from the city of chaos flew up and glared at the Jun family patriarch and the Hao family patriarch. What are you trying to do? You want to start a war between the two worlds? It's not that serious. Jun family patriarch said with a smile. Wang Tianlong, we are here at the Central Imperial Universe to run some errands. Listen to our orders, and we will not touch anyone in the city of chaos. How about that? You want us to surrender? Dream on. Wang Tianlong waved his hands, and the Xian Qi of heaven and earth condensed. Giant eels formed one after another, and heaven and earth shook. The deity transformation realm old monster released a profound meaning attack, and even before the attack, it already made the crowd tremble in fear. If you don't know what's good for you, then die. Kill. Jun Hongye snorted. He and the Hao family patriarch rushed toward Wang Tianlong. This time, they had 4 semi-god realm warriors, while the city of chaos only had 1 semi-god realm warrior. To take down the city of chaos was a piece of cake. Charge! The more than 40 warriors whooshed over. The more than 20 Earth immortal realm warriors of the city of chaos charged over fearlessly. Their duty was to protect the city of chaos. They would survive if the city was destroyed. The Jun family and the Hao family had more than 40 warriors. 4 of them were at the semi-god realm, and 10 were at the peak of the Earth immortal realm. This force could overwhelm the warriors of the city of chaos. They were not on the same level. The powerful warriors were mindful of their impact. They either flew to the sky or went out of the city. Otherwise, the shockwaves from the battle between the powerful warriors could flatten the city of chaos, and all the civilians in the city would die. Boom, boom, boom. Above the sky and outside the city, the booming sounds lingered on. Space was torn apart and then healed up. Horrifying energy spread out from the sky. It was as if dark clouds were pressing down on the city, suffocating people. Whoosh, 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 people in the city were running away. When immortals fought, the mortals would suffer. Any shockwave from the battle above could crush many people to death. 2 sides of the city were fighting. Many people swarmed to the other 2 sides. They were like ants moving house, fleeing in terror. An hour later, a figure crashed down from the sky, smashing a large hole in a castle. Wang Tianlong died with everlasting regret. His eyes were wide open, filled with wrath. The battle outside the city was coming to an end. The Jun family and the Hao family had gained the upper hand. If it were not for the fact that the 2 families didn't want to lose too many powerful warriors, the battle would have ended a long time ago. Boom, boom, boom. After the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, all the Earth immortal realm warriors in the city of chaos were killed. The situation was stabilized. As for the rest of the human sovereign realm warriors and the armies, they all surrendered. It had always been a rule in the city of chaos that the Earth immortal realm and semi-god realm warriors guarding the city would defend with their lives. The rest of the warriors didn't have to do so. What could a bunch of noble lord realm, human sovereign realm warriors do when even semi-god realm warriors and Earth immortal realm warriors could not stop them? They would die in vain. 1 semi-god realm warrior and more than 20 Earth immortal realm warriors lost their lives. None surrendered. Jun family and Hao family lost 7 warriors and more than a dozen were wounded. The battle was brutal. Jun Hongye and Hao Changjun were satisfied with the result. Granted, the 2 families lost 7 Earth immortal realm warriors, but they could recover the losses from the Lung family. If they could not, then they would purge the entire Central Imperial Universe with blood. All in all, the sacrifices could not be in vain. find someone to send the message. Jun Hongye waved his hand and said, "Tell the entire Central Imperial Universe that the Jun, Haowu, Li, and Rin families are only here to save Lu Li. This time, we will only target the Lung family and not the other families. If the other families dare to do anything, the 5 families will not mind mobilizing all the powerful warriors of the 5 families and the other families to purge the Central Imperial Universe with blood." The cooperation of the 5 families and the fact that the City of Chaos had been conquered had emboldened Jun Hongye. As he said, if the other families of the Central Imperial Universe dared to act recklessly, he could gather more than a dozen families and purge the Central Imperial Universe with blood. Many people would have concerns about providing timely help, but many would be more than happy to do the icing on the cake. What was more, with the icing on the cake, a group of people could participate in the Feast of Plunder. Warriors of the Noble Lord Realm and Human Sovereign Realm carried Jun Hongye's message to all sides and spread the news in the City of Chaos. In merely 2 days, the news had spread across the Central Imperial Universe like snowflakes. The entire Central Imperial Universe was in an uproar. Many families were in a state of panic. Who could tell if Jun Hongye was telling the truth? What if this was a long-planned operation with the goal of wiping out all the major families of the Central Imperial Universe and taking over the entire Central Imperial Universe? Chapter 744. They had a good reason to attack. If they started a war for no reason, they could easily be attacked by all the realms. Throughout history, wars between realms always had a reason. At the very least, there had to be a dignified excuse. What excuse should he use this time? Could it be that the 5 families were forced to attack the Lung family? This would cause the great families to lose face. Therefore, Jun Hongye used Lu Li as a shield. As for whether this excuse would be believed, it didn't matter. The Lung family wanted to kill Lu Li, and they wanted to protect him. It was as simple as that. It didn't even matter who Lu Li was. They just needed an excuse. In fact, rescuing the descendants of the various families wasn't too important to them. Of course, they had been sent out. They would find a way to save him and cut Lu Li into pieces. The most important goal was to find an excuse to plunder the Lung clan, which had a history of over 1,000,000 years. The 5 great clans joined hands. Without a suitable price, the 5 great clans would not give up. As the news spread out, many family patriarchs of the Central Imperial Universe took action. They all gathered in the imperial capital of the Feng dynasty, Great Imperial the Arch City, to discuss countermeasures. Whether to fight or to negotiate, they all needed to be discussed. He came to the Feng family instead of the Qi family or the Lung family. This was because the Lung family was the target of the 5 families. The Qi family had a good relationship with the Lung family. It was very likely that the Qi family would send troops to help. After discussing for 2 days, they did not come to any conclusion. Jun Hongye was right. If they could gather the families, it would be a piece of cake for them to wash the Central Imperial Universe in blood. The Lung dynasty sent out an announcement to denounce the 5 families. At the same time, they sent out an order to gather all the families in the city of Lung and fight against the enemy together. Also, through secret messaging formations, they could go to the Divine Imperial Universe and other universes to ask other families to work together to suppress the 5 families. The Qi family responded soon. They announced that they would cooperate with the Lung family and appealed to the Central Imperial Universe to unite against the 5 families. He also went to the Earth Imperial Universe to seek revenge. 3 days later, warriors from the 2 families of the Underworld Universe arrived. Warriors from the Wu family of the Mage Imperial Universe arrived at the City of Chaos after half a day. In addition to the powerful warriors of the Wu family, Chun family, a super family from the Mage Imperial Universe had come as well. The Chun clan's patriarch, Chun Wuqian, personally led a group of people to participate in this banquet of looting. The 5 families had become 6. 2 lunatic families of the Mage Imperial Universe had come. The clans in the city of Foam were terrified. Many people had been clamoring to go to the city of Lung to fight against the 5 clans. But now they were silent. Apparently, they were going to stay and watch. 2 days later, the strong warriors of the 6 families moved together. They didn't take the teleportation formation to the city of Lung, because the one in the city of Lung had been destroyed. The great ancestor of the Rin family in the Underworld universe had built a miraculous ancient formation that could cross the space and teleport to the city of Lung. The 6 major families left a semi-god realm, old monster, and 5 Earth-level deities to guard the city of chaos. The rest of them took the ancient array formation built by the Rin family patriarch and teleported to the north. The 6 great clans were very smart. They did not kill any martial artists along the way, nor did they plunder any cities. It was obvious that they were heading for the Long clan. The other families of the Central Imperial Universe were even more afraid to make a move. There was a glimmer of hope that the 6 families were only here for the Long family. The Long family was panicking. Because of the arrival of the Chun family from the Mage Imperial Universe, the Qi dynasty had promised to send out reinforcements. However, no one from the Qi dynasty had come. Lung Xing, the family patriarch of the Lung family, came out from cultivation. He took over the Lung family from Lung Tianhen and opened a secret passage to relocate the old, the weak, the women, and the children of the Lung family. The Lung family could not be wiped out, no matter the outcome. As long as the young disciples of the Lung family could be relocated and they could rest and build up their strength in a secret place, the Lung family could rise again soon and return to the Central Imperial Universe. A family with a history of 1,000,000 years would not admit defeat easily. Powerful warriors of the Lung family didn't leave. They were ready to perish together with the city of Lung. Lung family warriors had a question. Why did the 6 families come here for Luli? The Lung family didn't know that Luli had the disciples of the other families under his control. Therefore, they couldn't figure out, what was Luli capable of? Why did he ask the 6 families to protect him? Was it because of the Blood Emperor? The Blood Emperor was famous, but the Lung family didn't believe that he had the influence to ask the 6 families to help. Whatever the reason, the war had come. The Lung family had nowhere to go. The Lung family gathered all the powerful warriors, and even those that were cultivating in small universes and living in seclusion were gathered here. A family with a history of 1,000,000 years must have a profound foundation. The Rin family progenitor warrior was good at teleportation. In merely 2 days, the more than 100 powerful warriors were teleported to the city of Lung. They didn't rush to attack the city. Instead, they flew toward the north to attack the entrance to the forbidden ground of Elder God. None of them had forgotten the purpose of their trip. First, they would conquer the entrance to the forbidden ground of Elder God and rescue their disciples. Then, they would play with the Lung family. It was only 2 days before Lu Li and the others were teleported out. The more than 100 powerful warriors arrived at the mountain to the north of the city of Lung and killed the few human sovereign realm warriors there. There were Earth Immortal realm warriors here, but they were called back by the Lung family. Half a day later, the Lung family sent a messenger to negotiate. The 6 families didn't attack the city of Lung right away because they were waiting for the Lung family to come. After all, to kill 3,000 enemies, they would lose 800 men. If they could obtain enough benefits without shedding any blood, everyone would come happily and leave happily. Why not? The 6 families had a discussion and made a list with their requirements. As long as the Lung family agreed to pay the mystical materials and treasures, the 6 families would leave at once. The Lung family messenger was shocked to see the list. The 6 great clans were asking for an exorbitant price. The items on the list wouldn't be enough even if they sold the entire Lung family. Of course, as long as the 6 families were willing to negotiate and the price was acceptable to both sides, then there was a chance of success. As long as the conditions were reasonable, the Lung family wouldn't go to war. After all, it would take the Lung family tens of thousands of years to recover from the loss of their powerful warriors. The Lung family messenger went back. The 6 families were not in a hurry. They would wait for Lu Li to teleport out and rescue their disciples first. The disciples of the families had become Lu Li's soul slaves. But the powerful warriors were not in a hurry. Lu Li was only at the noble lord realm. For them, he was no different than an ant. As long as they could capture Lu Li, everything else would be easy. Many warriors from the families came, and they had many incredible skills. They had more than 100 ways to control Lu Li. If Lu Li could take back the soul seeds, the disciples of their families would be saved. Lu Li walked out from the wind cave in the forbidden ground of Elder God. He was about to be teleported out. His life or death would depend on tomorrow. He gathered everyone and told them to take out their interspatial rings and quasi-relics for Lu Li to confiscate. Even though those things would benefit others after his death, what if they were teleported back to their respective universes? Buzzing, the wicked bee glowed as everyone was taken in. Lu Li told them to stay in the hall. If the feather wind was disturbed, they would all die. Phew. Chapter 745. At the entrance to the forbidden ground of Elder God to the north of the city of Lung, more than 100 powerful warriors were gathered here. Apart from several Earth Immortal Realm warriors lurking outside, the others were waiting quietly in the hall. As a matter of fact, there were many scouts lurking around the mountain, but the powerful warriors didn't pay any attention. Those were the scouts from the major families of the Central Imperial Universe. The reason why the 6 families didn't kill them was to appease the families. They wanted to show that they were here for the Lung family and had no intention of invading the Central Imperial Universe. Time moved on. The Semi-God Realm warriors and Earth Immortal Realm warriors in the castle were not nervous. They waited quietly. So the old warriors even started to cultivate. It was noon. The portal at the center of the castle finally lit up. The old warriors were still sitting with their eyes closed. But many Earth Immortal Realm warriors were getting nervous. Some of them even released force fields at once. Buzzing, the portal glowed. A young man emerged in the castle. Lu Li was teleported out by himself. Whoosh! As soon as Lu Li showed up, a skinny hand reached for his neck in a flash. Before Lu Li could react, the skinny hand had grabbed his neck and lifted him up. A surge of strange energy surged into Lu Li's body, sealing up his bead of life and Xian energy. At the same time, another skinny hand grabbed Lu Li's head. A surge of yellow energy surged into Lu Li's soul pond and enveloped it. The other Earth Immortal Realm warriors were relieved to see this. Everything else would be easy once Lu Li was taken down. Their disciples could be rescued, and then they could focus on ransacking the Lung family. What? The Earth Immortal Realm warrior who took down Lu Li was surprised. He poured his soul energy into Lu Li's soul pond, trying to take control of his soul. However, he realized a serious problem. His powerful soul energy could not invade Lu Li's soul pond. Outside of Lu Li's soul pond came a ray of white light. A white shield emerged and isolated the Earth Immortal Realm warrior's soul energy. Family Patriarch. The Earth Immortal Realm warrior turned to Jun Hongye, begging him to take action. If he could not control Lu Li's soul at once, Lu Li could force the soul seeds to go berserk. Then, the souls of Jun Mingchen and the others would collapse. What is it? Jun Hongye opened his eyes, angry. He could not even take down a noble Lord Realm warrior. Woo, right at that moment, a bead in Lu Li's hand suddenly glowed. Following that, feather wind flew out and enveloped Lu Li, including the Earth Immortal Realm warrior that was controlling him. The Earth Immortal Realm warrior was struck by the feather wind. Out of instinct, he covered his head with his hands and threw Lu Li to the ground. Not good. Jun family patriarch, Hao family progenitor warrior, and the other warriors of the Jun family were taken aback. Several of them flew up like eagles, trying to take Lu Li down. Buzz! The wicked bead in Lu Li's hand glowed again. He vanished on the spot, and the wicked bead floated in the air. The light on the surface of the bead gradually faded, and it looked like an ordinary blue stone that was fixed in midair. Xiao! The few old monsters rushed to the vicinity of the bead. The Jun family's patriarch was the fastest. He reached out his hand to grab the bead. Then, something that shocked everyone happened. Jun Hongye grabbed the bead in his hand. He wanted to take it back, but the bead was frozen in midair. A glint of coldness rose in Jun Hongye's eyes. His hand glowed and he pulled hard. The bead didn't budge at all. Jun Hongye was taken aback. Then, he flew into a rage and slapped at the bead. A horrifying chi and energy spread out from his hand. There was no doubt about the power of this move. Bang! However, the bead made a muffled sound and remained still in midair. The fact that the bead did not budge even one bit after being slapped by a semi-god realm warrior had frightened everyone. The bead, Hao Changjun, Hao family progenitor warrior, and the other old monster's eyes glowed. The bead must be something extraordinary. It was highly possible that it was obtained from the forbidden ground of Elder God. Let me have a try. Hao Changjun reached out a skinny hand toward the wicked bead in a flash. His hand glowed in red as he tried to pull the bead. Still, the bead did not budge. Let me. Wu Guangda, family patriarch of the Wu family of the Mage Imperial Universe, took out a blood-red glove and reached for the bead. From his body came out a surge of horrifying chi and blood. He tried his best to grab the bead, but the bead did not budge. Wu Guangda was enraged. He took out a glaring saber and hacked at the bead. Buzzing, the bead glowed. A man appeared outside the bead, standing right in front of the bead. Wu Guangda, family patriarch of the Wu family, hacked at him. Bang! How horrifying was the move of a semi-god realm warrior. The body and the head exploded into a mist of blood. Wu Guangda was taken aback. Then he yelled, Mingshi! That was right. Just now, it was Wu Mingshi, a disciple of the Wu family, the grandson of a patriarch of the Wu family. Wu Mingshi's grandpa was here. Mingshi? A white-haired old man trembled. He walked over and took a closer look. Making sure that it was Wu Mingshi, the old man bellowed in sorrow. Staring at the bead, he bellowed, Bastard! I swear I will wipe out your entire family. A sarcastic voice came out from the bead. You old dog. I don't know if you can wipe out my entire family, but I can kill your young master Wu Xia right now and cut him into pieces. Do you believe me? Jun Mingchen, Hao Chuan, and the young masters and young ladies of the Li family and the Rin family. Do you want me to cut them into pieces for you to see? Hiss, hiss, the Earth Immortal Realm warriors gasped. Wu Mingshi's death had taught them one thing. That bastard named Lu Li was not a pushover. If he was pushed too far, all disciples of the families would have to die. Step back. Jun Hongye waved his hand and led the others to step back. Wu Guangda, family patriarch of the Wu family, was fuming, but he had to suppress his anger. Otherwise, his grandson, Wu Xia, would become a cold corpse the next moment. Good. Lu Li's voice came out from the wicked bead. He continued, As I said, I'm just a nobody and I have no intention of challenging your authority. I just want to live. If I cannot, then I will have to drag your disciples down with me. Lu Li's appeal was clear and firm. Now, it was up to the family patriarchs to decide. Of course, Lu Li's appeal was based on the miraculous power of the wicked bead. Without the wicked bead, Lu Li would have been taken down and there would be no room for negotiation. The wicked bead did not disappoint Lu Li. It was frozen in midair. Not even a semi-god realm warrior could move it. What was more, the defense seemed to be incredible. Jun Hongye slapped at the bead. It didn't even shake or move, let alone be destroyed. Relic. It was impossible for a quasi-relic to have such incredible abilities or such strong defense. Only a relic could explain it. Chapter 746. The situation was awkward. Powerful warriors of the six families stared at the cyan bead floating in the air. Their eyes flickered. For a moment, none of them knew what to do. Leave their own disciples behind? Not to mention how talented the captured disciples were. Emotionally speaking, those captured were all their grandchildren or loved ones. They were all blood relatives. Should they just watch them die one by one? The warriors were lost in thoughts. Chun family patriarch of another family from the Mage Imperial universe was losing patience. Since none of their disciples were captured by Lu Li, they had nothing to fear. From Chun Tianxian's body spread out horrifying qi and blood. He slapped forward with one hand. Qian qi in heaven and earth gathered from all sides. All of a sudden, the entire castle burst into dust. Swish, swish, high in the sky, a huge hand made of white bones appeared and smashed down. The void trembled and terrifying waves of qi spread out in all directions, its power shocking the heavens. Boom! The hand made of white bones landed on the wicked bead. The wicked bead made a muffled sound, but remained still. The ground caved in because of the airwaves. A huge claw mark appeared. The castle was smashed into smithereens by the shockwave. Dust billowed in all directions, filling the air and covering the sky. The scouts of the clans lurking nearby were so scared that their bodies and bodies trembled. They carefully probed over and saw this shocking scene. They found the pearl that even the old monsters in the divine transformation realm could not smash. What? This time, everyone was taken aback. They stared at the cyan bead in confusion. Chun Tianxian's move contained many powerful, profound meanings. Even a powerful Earth Immortal Realm warrior could be killed. Not only was the bead fine, it didn't move one bit. Relic. Many warriors were excited. Apart from the fact that it was a relic, there was no other explanation. The universes had a history of over 2 million years. Never before had there been such a miraculous treasure. From a wicked bead came a snort. Then a man came out. It was a young master from the Hao family. As soon as the young master came out, he shouted, "Forefather, help me. I don't want to die." Before he could finish his words, the young master trembled. Blood oozed out from his eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. His soul pawn exploded. Not even a god could save him. Soon, Lu Li said, "Don't waste your time. The wicked bead is a relic, one of the 3 relics of Emperor Hung. Even a normal real god wouldn't be able to break it, let alone someone of your level. If you're not convinced, continue to attack. Every time you attack, I'll kill 1 person." Hao Changjuan's face was clouded. He looked at Jun Hongye and said, "Chun Tianxian, stop." Jun Hongye's sparse eyebrows twitched. He asked, "Lu Li, tell me what you want me to do for you to release Meng Qin and the others." Lu Li said nothing. He sat in the hall with his legs crossed, hesitating. In fact, he didn't know what to do, because if he went out, he would be captured immediately. If he did not leave, the wicked bead would not be able to move, and he would be trapped in there for the rest of his life. He just wanted to live, but the problem was, how could he survive? How to go back to the Heaven Reverse universe? He didn't trust any of the old monsters outside, so even if they retreated, he still didn't dare to go out. Who knew what kind of heaven-defying magical powers these old monsters had? What if they could hide themselves? How could he go from the Lung Dynasty to the Prison of Gold? How could he sneak back to the Inferno quietly? Even if he could make it to the entrance of the Prison of Water safely, he would be followed by a bunch of old warriors, which would bring harm to the Heaven Reverse universe. What? Something is not right. Lu Li suddenly remembered something. He asked Lung Wuxin, "Is it true that warriors of the 4 universes cannot go down to the Prison of Water?" "Yes." Lung Wuxi nodded. "Warriors of the Earth Immortal Realm cannot go down to the 4 levels below the Prison of Gold. This is because of the Prison of Primordial Chaos." "Really?" Lu Li was cheered up. If warriors of the Earth Immortal Realm could not go down to the Inferno, then it wouldn't matter even if others knew he had gone down. How could warriors of the 4 universes go to the Heaven Reverse universe without going through the Inferno? If they could, the Heaven Reverse universe would have been conquered a long time ago. Lu Li turned to the Earth Immortal Realm warriors and asked for confirmation. Warriors above the Earth Immortal Realm cannot go down to the Prison of Water. Yes. The Earth Immortal Realm warriors nodded in agreement. Lu Li's spirit was lifted. The Prison of Gold was safe. Now, he had to find a way to reach the entrance of the Prison of Water. Lu Li thought about it and said, "It is easy to save them. Go and wipe out the Lung family first." Lung Wuxin turned pale at once. But Lu Li was as determined as steel. He sent a group of powerful warriors to attack the Lung family, not just for revenge, but to buy himself some time. At the same time, he had to exhaust the forces of the 6 families and the Lung family so that he could have a better chance of survival. Wipe out the Lung family? Leaders of the 6 families were hesitating. The fact that the Lung family had sent someone to negotiate proved that they could get what they wanted. As a matter of fact, the 6 families didn't want to go to war. After all, a war could cost lives. The few old monsters swept their gazes here and there. Their lips wriggled as they transmitted their voices to each other, secretly discussing. After a while, Jun Hongye said, "Okay, we will go and wipe out the Lung family now. Lu Li, I hope you can keep your word and let them go after you wipe out the Lung family." Let's go. Let's go and kill. Let's go and level the city of Lung. The group of old monsters shouted and soared into the sky, whistling towards the south. Soon, none of them were left. There wasn't even someone to guard the wicked bead. There were scouts lurking nearby, but they didn't dare to move. They were only here to investigate. Even if there were relics, they wouldn't dare to take them. Through the wicked bead, Lu Li could see the situation in an area with a radius of hundreds of feet. He saw the old warriors flying toward the south. Lu Li was confused. Playing hard to get? Did the old warriors think he was a fool and wanted to trick him out? Lu Li would not fall for that. Before he figured out a safe way to the purgatory of primordial chaos, he would not go out easily. Cultivate. After all, nobody could crack open the wicked bead, and he had so many hostages. Lu Li began to cultivate in peace. Let's see if I can dissolve the first seal of the wicked bead in there. Lu Li put one hand on the ground and poured Xian energy into the wicked bead through the spiritual connection. The first seal glowed. The seal could be dissolved in there as well. Lu Li began to meditate. He cultivated Xian energy, consumed soul-nurturing pellets, and dissolved the seal of the wicked bead. At the same time, he began to think about how to escape to the prison of water safely. 3 days, 5 days, 10 days. 30 miles to the south, a group of old warriors flew up helplessly. Powerful warriors of the 6 families were gathered here. They had discussed a leave because they wanted to see if Lu Li would come out. They had underestimated Lu Li's cautiousness. It had been 10 days since Lu Li came out, which meant that he would not come out anytime soon. It was pointless for them to wait. The leaders of the families gathered together and had a discussion. They decided to attack the Lung family first. After all, the wicked bead could not fly away. Destroying the Lung family first would make the trip to the Central Imperial Universe worthwhile. Let's go. 3 warriors were left behind to keep an eye on the wicked bead, while the others whooshed toward the south like beasts. Their horrifying energy blocked out the sun and the sky. The scouts lurking nearby trembled in fear. Chapter 747. In a hall in the Lung family compound, a group of powerful warriors of the Lung family were discussing what price they could offer to satisfy the 6 families. All the powerful warriors of the Lung family were gathered here. Even the 2 dying warriors in the ancestral land were invited. There were 6 semi-god realm warriors and dozens of Earth immortal realm warriors. This was the most powerful force of the Lung family. They could not accept Jun Hongye's offer, not even if they sold the entire Lung family. They knew that the other side was asking for an exorbitant price, and the Lung family could negotiate step by step. Who is Lu Li? A dying progenitor warrior of the Lung family suddenly asked. Why did you provoke such a person? Tianhen, what did you do as a king? This progenitor warrior had been away from worldly affairs for many years. He had been cultivating in the ancestral land. He came out in a hurry when he learned of the upheaval in the family. He didn't know what was going on. Lung Tianhen was embarrassed. He said, I heard that Lu Li is the apprentice of the Blood Emperor. He is 18 or 19 years old and is at the Noble Lord realm. He has several horrifying skills. He had a conflict with a disciple in the prison of gold and chased him to the city of Lung. I asked Wu Shang and the others to entertain him. We have buried the hatchet. He went to the forbidden ground of Elder God with Wu Shang and the others. But he killed Wu Shang and the others. Progenitor warrior. The troublemaker has been imprisoned to reflect. The Lung family progenitor warrior snorted. Lung Xing interrupted. Uncle 13, this is not the time to blame. Let's discuss how to deal with the current situation. Whoosh, a shadow flew in from outside. It was the leader of the scout hall of the Lung family. He bowed and reported, I just got the news that the powerful warriors of the 6 families are on the move. They're flying towards the city of Lung. They might not be friendly. What? The powerful warriors of the Lung family stood up. They were filled with killing intent. Many of them shouted that they would fight to the death. They would fight to the death. Even if all the powerful warriors of the Lung family were to perish, they must leave half of the 6 families in the city of Lung. Lung Xing was more rational. He asked Lung Tianhen, have the disciples and the mystical materials been relocated? Lung Tianhen answered after some thoughts. Almost all the disciples have been relocated, and most of the mystical materials have been relocated. Close the tunnel. Tell the people of the ancestral realm to destroy the passage immediately after I send the signal, said Lung Xing decisively. Let the disciples in there cultivate and develop in peace. Tianhen, you enter the ancestral realm as well. I'll leave everything to you. Follow the rules of the ancestral realm. Father, Lung Tianhen cried out involuntarily. He knew that this might be the last time they met. He would stay in the ancestral realm for the rest of his life and eventually die of depression. His descendants would be trapped in the ancestral realm for generations to come. Only when the family reached a certain number of powerful warriors could they go back to the central imperial universe. This is an order. Execute it immediately. Lung Xing shouted, then swept his gaze across the dozens of people in the hall. Everyone, the descendants of the Lung clan, are never afraid of death. The dignity of the Lung clan is not to be provoked. Today, the 6 great families want to destroy our Lung family. What should we do? Blood for blood, a tooth for a tooth. Kill, kill, kill. Many people roared, not concealing the killing intent and rage in their hearts. Their voices resounded through the entire Lung family compound. Many noble Lord Realm and human sovereign realm warriors of the Lung family heard it. They followed suit and shouted, blood for blood, a tooth for a tooth. Kill, kill, kill. Let's go. Lung Xing shouted. He flew out with 5 semi-god realm warriors and stood in the sky north of the city. Groups of Earth immortal realm warriors followed them, followed by countless human sovereign realm warriors and a large number of noble Lord realm warriors. The Lung family didn't leave many warriors behind, just over 100,000. The younger ones had been relocated to the ancestral realm. The 100,000 warriors stood in the sky north of the city, waiting for the final battle, waiting for the last ray of light to shine. Many civilians in the city had been relocated, but some were still unwilling to leave. They didn't want to leave after living in the city of Lung for so many years. Some of them were too old to move. They had too many memories and feelings in the city. They wanted to stay with the city of Lung. Alas, Lung Tianhen stood in the Lung family compound, clenching his fists. Veins were popping out on his face. His eyes were filled with regret. He hated Lung Wuxue for provoking Lu Li. He hated Lu Li for not being nice to him when he was here. He hated Lung Wuxue for agreeing to let Lu Li into the forbidden ground of Elder God. It was pointless to say more at this point. Lung Tianhen waved his hand and led the others into a castle in the backyard. They teleported to the ancestral realm through the teleportation formation. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In a time for 3 incense sticks to burn, Lung Tianhen heard some noises coming from the north. The more than 100 warriors whooshed over like 100 dragons. In an instant, they appeared in the sight of Lung Xing and the others. The 100,000 warriors of the Lung family stood there in silence. Nobody made a sound. All of them were staring at the more than 100 warriors in front of them. When the warriors were 2 miles away, Lung Xing said, "Do you have to do this?" Jun Hongye waved his hand. They all stopped. Jun Hongye sighed and said, "Lung Xing, don't blame us. Blame yourself for offending someone you shouldn't have." Luli is not someone the Lung family can afford to offend. I'm sorry. They had a good reason to launch an attack. The 6 families had to be mindful of their influence. They had been using Luli as an excuse. Now, they had to use Luli as an excuse to start a war. Negotiation was pointless. Luli had made it clear that he wanted to wipe out the Lung family. Then, they would have to fight first. At least, the weapons, armors, and treasures of the Lung family warriors were valuable. Luli? Lung Xing and the others were confused. Lung Xing shouted coldly, "Who is Luli?" Not only the Lung family, but also the scouts from the other families of the Central Imperial Universe were confused. They had never heard of Luli before. He came out of nowhere. All they knew was that he was the apprentice of the Blood Emperor. However, the Blood Emperor did not have such a reputation. He was not qualified to summon the 6 families. "You don't have a right to know," Jun Hongya said coldly. He was using Luli as an excuse. Naturally, he would not waste time. He waved his hand and said, "Do it. Kill all the Lung family. Hao Changjun, follow the plan." Whoosh, 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 quasi-relic armors emerged, and many of them had quasi-relic weapons in their hands. They spread out and dashed toward the Lung family warriors like arrows. Buzzing, Hao Changjun suddenly vanished into thin air. He used profound meaning to dash toward the entrance to the Lung family's ancestral land as planned. Every family had their own ancestral land. Jun Hongyan knew very well that there were not many mystical materials and treasures in the Lung family compound. All the good stuff will be transferred to the ancestral land. Only by conquering the ancestral land could the Lung family have a share of the treasures. As soon as Lung Xing saw Hao Changjun vanish in the sky, he knew what he was up to. The former poured out a gust of air and smashed the castle that teleported to the ancestral land, destroying the passageway. Bastard, Hao Changjun emerged in the sky. He bellowed, "Lung Xing, if you want to die, I will grant your wish. Charge!" Boom, boom, boom. Chapter 748. While the city of Lung was in a state of chaos and blood was shed, Luli was in peace. He left 3 Earth Immortal Realm warriors to hide nearby. They did not dare to show themselves. The scouts nearby were even more afraid to move. They could only sense the bead and the situation nearby from a distance. Luli was cultivating in the wicked bead. At the same time, he was thinking about how to get to the entrance of the water safely. If it were not for Luli, the others would not be able to move the wicked bead. But Luli was afraid to go out. It seemed to be a hopeless situation. Was he going to stay here forever? In a few years, the 4 forces would send their armies to the Clouds Plains and the Northern Desert. By then, how could Luli and the others fight back? I wish the wicked bead could fly by itself. Luli sighed. The wicked bead was sealed. Many skills could not be used. It would take at least several years to dissolve the first layer of the seal. Who knew what could happen in a few years? What if the wicked bead was cracked open? Lung Wuxin, can you make the antidote here? Luli opened his eyes and asked after several hours of deep thought. There was still poison in his bone marrow. Now that he had time, he might as well get rid of the poison first. Yes, Lung Wuxin nodded. Luli waved her to a corner to make the antidote while he went back to cultivation. For the time being, there was no better way. He had to dissolve the wicked bead and wait and see. The battle at the city of Lung lasted for an entire day. Eventually, the battle came to an end due to the disparity in abilities. Each of the 6 families sent 2 semi-god realm warriors. There were 12 in total. The 12 alone were enough to wipe out the Lung family, not to mention the more than 100 Earth Immortal Realm warriors. Over 100,000 Lung family warriors died in battle. None of them escaped. Those who should have escaped had gone to the ancestral land. They stayed behind to die with the city. The death of over 100,000 Lung family warriors was not in vain. Lung Xing and the other warriors did not die in vain either. The outcome of the battle was glorious. Over half of the 100 warriors from the 6 families were killed. 4 of the 12 semi-god realm warriors were killed. There were only 6 semi-god realm warriors in the Lung family, half of the 6 families. However, these 6 people were too ruthless. Every time they attacked, they wanted to perish together with the enemy. There is also a Lung clan patriarch who self-detonated, dragging the Rin clan patriarch with him. Almost all the leaders of the 6 families were wounded. The Rin family patriarch had died in battle. Hao Changjun had one of his arms cut off from the shoulder. More than 60 Earth Immortal Realm warriors had died. Of course, the 6 great clans' harvest was not bad. All the demigod tools on the Lung clan's experts were taken, and there were more or less some treasures in their spatial rings. The Lung clan plundered everything, and all the spiritual materials and treasures that they couldn't move in time were taken away. Let's split into groups. Jun Hongye was not satisfied. He waved his hand and said, "We will divide into 3 groups and sweep across the entire Lung dynasty." So many people died this time. It's not worth it to loot the entire Lung dynasty. All right. The 2 families of the Mage Imperial Universe agreed with Jun Hongye's proposal. They were not satisfied with such a small amount. After all, looting the Lung dynasty was not the entire Central Imperial Universe. The Central Imperial Universe shouldn't be stirred up. Someone, Jun Hongye yelled, sent a message. "We have suffered a great loss. Since the Lung dynasty resisted, we have decided to wipe out the Lung dynasty as revenge. Anyone who dares to resist will be killed." Several Earth Immortal Realm warriors busied themselves. They went to find scouts to deliver the message. As a matter of fact, the message was not meant for the Lung dynasty, but for the other 2 dynasties and the other families of the Central Imperial Universe, warning them not to do anything rash. Let's go. The 6 families divided into 2 groups, and each of them rushed to a different direction. Hao Changjun was in the same group as Jun Hongye. After a while, he said that he needed to hide and heal for a while. One of his arms was cut off, and he was weakened. He told the Hao family to go with Jun Hongye and catch up with the others when he recovered. Seeing that Hao Changjun was pale, Jun Hongye didn't force him. He left with the others. Hao Changjun found a mountain to heal by himself. He had elixirs in his interspatial ring that could regrow an arm. He could recover in half a month at most. That being said, in merely 6 hours, Hao Changjun suddenly snuck toward the north of the city of Lung. He was faintly discernible. There were scouts on the way, but none could find him. He didn't go far. In an hour, he arrived at the area where the wicked bead was. He used psychic power to check. Soon, he located the scouts hiding nearby and the 3 Earth Immortal Realm warriors that stay behind. Whoosh, he sneaked over. A bell appeared in his hand, and he threw it at the 3 scouts. One of them dodged to the side the moment the bell flew over, while the other 2 were trapped by the bell. Bang, bang, bang. From inside the bell came some muffled noises. Soon, the 2 Earth Immortal Realm warriors passed out. The other Earth Immortal Realm warrior stood on the side. He didn't do anything. Instead, he looked at Hao Changjun in surprise and asked, "Forefather, what are you?" This Earth Immortal Realm warrior was from the Hao family. He had just received Hao Changjun's message and had dodged in advance. Hao Changjun said coldly, "Don't waste time. Kill all the scouts nearby. Leave no one alive." Now, the Hao family Earth Immortal Realm warrior dashed over without hesitation. Soon, miserable cries could be heard everywhere. He knew where the scouts were hiding. He just didn't kill them. In the time for 2 incense sticks to burn, all the scouts in an area with a radius of 300 miles were killed. The Hao family Earth Immortal Realm warrior came back. He nodded and said, "Done." "Good." A glint of coldness rose in Hao Changjun's eyes. He shouted, "Stay here and guard the area. I will go and get the bead." Bead? The Hao family Earth Immortal Realm warrior understood. Hao Changjun had come back alone. He must be trying to get the bead. The Hao family Earth Immortal Realm warrior was excited. The bead could be a relic. If the Hao family could get it, the Hao family could become the most powerful family in the 4 universes. By then, unifying the 4 major universes and 5 minor universes would not be a problem. Wait, the Hao family Earth Immortal Realm warrior thought of something. He said with hesitation, "Forefather, if you go and get the bead, Hao Chuan will be in trouble. Haha, Hao Chang-jun sneered. A young disciple versus a relic. Can't you tell which is more important? If we can get the relic, it will be worth it even if half of the family dies, let alone one disciple. Buzzing. A huge axe appeared in Hao Changjuan's hand. He leaped up like a dragon and hacked at the bead with one hand. No matter how strong an artifact was, it needed energy to support it. When the energy in the bead was used up, the defense of the bead would be weakened. Even if he could not take the bead away, he could shake Lu Li and the others out. Even if the relic was damaged, he could still find a way to repair it. The most important thing was to get the bead. Hao Changjun had lost one of his hands. He didn't have time to tend to his wounds before he hurried over. He just wanted to get the bead as soon as possible. Bang! The axe landed on the bead. The bead glowed, but remained still. It didn't even tremble. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.